Walking through the iron gate, there was a passageway in the middle, with wooden houses on both sides of the cave. Sparse people were coming and going, clearly indicating a living area. At this point, Xiang Liang had a conceptual understanding of the overall structure of the Great Xia Station. The large wooden house outside, over 100 meters long, should be partly built against the southern rock face of Middle Ape Peak, also covering the cave entrance. This was considered as the working area of Great Xia, where prey, iron ore, coal stone, vegetation, fruits, and other resources were stored in the wooden house. Inside the cave was their living area. The giant iron gate at the entrance was obviously used to deal with unexpected situations. If there was any danger, they could abandon the wooden house, with everyone entering the cave and closing the iron gate. It doesn't make much sense. Important resources like iron, coal, beast meat, tools, and weapons should definitely be stored inside the cave. Moreover, their population seems to be small, only about 200 outside, judging from the living area buildings at most 1,000 people. Such a small number of people wouldn't need much space. The wooden house outside is completely unnecessary, and everyone could fit inside the cave. The wooden house outside is lit with coal stone, and surprisingly, the inside of the cave is as well. The daily consumption of coal stone by Great Xia must be over 1,000 pounds, which is quite extravagant, isn't it? As the son of the leader of a medium-sized camp, Xiang Liang wasn't inexperienced, and he detected many irrational aspects, causing confusion in his heart. The most critical realization was when he suddenly noticed that he hadn't seen a single child or elder since he entered. No, there were also pitifully few women. This Great Xia didn't look like a normal camp at all. Filled with confusion, Xiang Liang quickly followed Suan through the entire passageway, arriving in front of the largest wooden house deep inside. Since none of the wooden houses inside the cave had roofs, he could hear the conversation inside once he got close. "It's been days, and those people still haven't come to attack. Are you sure your last idea will work?" "It'll definitely work. On the last trading day, I knew they would follow us, so I intentionally piled a bunch of weapons and beast meat at the entrance of the wooden house. Based on previous transactions, they can't resist such temptation. In the many previous transactions, I didn't bring many people, and among them were some from the gathering department. They're unaware of our strength. They obviously have ulterior motives for not willingly joining us for so long. But it's been 9 days since the last trade, and they still haven't attacked. I'm getting a little impatient. Those 4 camps are so weak, with only about 5,000 to 6,000 people combined. Merging into Great Xia is inevitable. Why is the defense so anxious? The first year of Great Xia is almost over. When I last returned to the camp, I heard about the New Year's Eve." Hearing the content of the conversation inside the wooden house, Xiang Liang's expression was in shock, with waves of alarm surging in his heart. He didn't even notice that the conversation inside had already stopped. What did these people's words mean? Su En of the Golden Sword team, requesting to see the commander. As soon as the conversation stopped, Su En immediately knocked and spoke to request an audience. "Come in." Xiang Liang's stupefied expression hadn't yet recovered, numbly following behind Su En and entering the wooden house. Inside the wooden house was a hall over 10 meters wide. In the middle of the hall stood a 3-legged round tripod, with a blazing furnace inside, and the 4 characters, Great Xia Huayuan, were clearly visible on the tripod wall. Each side had over 20 chairs, with a small table in front of each, where 10 people were sitting. Above the main position of the hall, there was a primary seat, with a larger table placed in front, and a person was seated behind the table. Xiang Liang's gaze was immediately drawn to the person in the main seat. No wonder, because the clothes the person was wearing, he had never seen before. The person's attire was composed entirely of pale golden armor pieces, shining brilliantly under the flickering fire, not only dazzling but also giving an inexplicable sense of oppression. On the table before him was a round helmet, similar in color to his armor, clearly meant to be worn on the head. Beside the table leaned a unique, long-handled giant sword over 3 meters long, with double-edged blades. No, it's not just him. The person in the first seat on the left below was also wearing such golden armor. "Greetings, Commander." As Suan bowed to salute, he didn't forget to nudge Xiang Liang beside him. The commander was what the Great Xia camp called their leader. Despite his curiosity, Xiang Liang followed suit, bowing his head in salute. "Greetings, Commander." Rise, who is this person? This is Xiang Liang, whom I just rescued from the north slope of 5-8 Mountain. He claims to have urgent news for us. He doesn't seem to be lying, so I brought him over. As the person in the main seat began to speak, Xiang Liang also raised his head, clearly seeing his appearance, only to be stunned in realization. The great Xia leader was actually blind in one eye. Greetings, sir. I am Xiang Liang, son of Xiang Ping, leader of Hefeng Camp. I have come to inform you all that Wang Lai of the Flying Tiger Camp has learned of the Great Xia Station's location. He has colluded with Yang Ping and the Yuiming family to attack Great Xia, hoping you will be aware and that the Great Xia can. Gulps. The last 4 words, prepare in advance, were not spoken by Xiang Liang. Chapter 426, Chapter 201, Huayuan Garrison, Cold Marrow Iron /3. Because as he spoke, he was constantly observing the reaction of that great Xia leader and the surrounding 8 people. Just as expected, the one-eyed great Xia leader and the 8 people on both sides below showed expressions of joy upon hearing his words. When Xiang Liang heard those words outside the house earlier, he was mentally prepared. Combining this with the reactions of the 9 people in front of him, how could he not realize that the reason Flying Tiger Camp found the location of the Great Xia Station was clearly this group of people doing it on purpose? The purpose, just as he had overheard outside the cabin, was to deliberately incite the people of Flying Tiger Camp to harbor greed, enticing them to attack Great Xia. This way, they could justifiably annex Flying Tiger Camp. Ha ha ha, this Flying Tiger Camp has some guts, thought it'd be just them, didn't expect they'd bring in the other 2 families. This really saves us a lot of trouble, ha ha ha. Lin Kai, sitting at the top on the left, suddenly stood up from his chair, laughing incessantly, and the other 7 people also showed smiles on their faces. Su Ning, sitting at the top, also couldn't help but show a smile on his face at this moment. He looked down at Xiang Liang below, glanced at the wooden box in his hand, pondered for a moment, then said thoughtfully, since Wang Lai knows to bring in the other 2 families, he must have gone to Hefeng Camp as well. Your father didn't agree, so he sent you to inform us. Xiang Liang at this point couldn't care less about the shock in his heart and quickly nodded. Sir, your insight is remarkable, I admire it. When Wang Lai saw that my father disagreed, he brought the other 2 families and attacked our Hefeng camp together last night. It's likely that my father and the others in our camp have been controlled by Wang Lai and the 3 families. I only managed to escape by chance amidst the chaos, and luckily I was saved by Master Suwen, which is the only reason I'm alive. After Su Ning heard this, he pondered for a moment and looked at his brother Suwen. Suwen nodded and said, he didn't lie when I saved him. He had already been hit by 3 arrows on his back, almost died. It was with a hot wind pill and golden sore powder that he survived. Only then did Su Ning smile and nod, looking at Xiang Liang. I know your father, Xiang Ping, he's a decent person, so your words, I believe. Upon hearing Su Ning's last 2 words, Xiang Liang's expression suddenly became excited. By now, he was no longer worried about the attack on Great Xia. What he had just seen with his own eyes, heard with his own ears, and the conversation and reactions of the 9 people in the hall at this moment, were enough to prove that Wang Lai gathering the 3 families to attack Great Xia Station was an absolute joke. The only thing he was worried about now was the aftermath of Great Xia seeking revenge. With Su Ning believing him, Hefeng Camp was no longer in trouble. No wonder his father insisted on not agreeing to Wang Lai's proposal. He must have had some understanding of Great Xia Camp's strength. Yes, hadn't the Great Xia leader just said he knew his father? Have they met before? Su Ning's doubts were quickly dispelled by someone's words in the hall. Xiang Ping is indeed a decent person. Among the several transactions with the 4 camps in Northern Mountain, only he proposed to send someone to see Great Xia, but unfortunately, Wang Lai stopped him on the spot. Upon hearing Lu Yang's words, Su Ning nodded his head. The transactions with the 4 camps in Northern Mountain had always been handled by Lu Yang's East Sun team, and he was the only one who had contact with the leaders of the 4 camps. Su Ning said he knew Xiang Ping, also from Lu Yang. Clap. Lin Kai, clad in golden armor, stood up directly from his chair, looked back at Su Ning and said, in that case, let's not wait. I'll lead a team over and deal with these 3 camps all at once. What do you think, Su Zai? After pondering for a moment, Su Ning directly nodded. All right, I'll go with you, just as we'll be returning to the station tomorrow night for the new year. These over 5,000 people can be our congratulatory gift from Huayuan for the leader's return. Upon hearing the two lightly decide to take action against Flying Tiger Camp, Xiang Liang was scared and shocked, but before he could calm down, he noticed Su Ning's last words, and he was instantly stunned. Return to the station. Isn't this place the station of Great Xia? No, this one-eyed sir isn't even the leader of the Great Xia camp. This... As Xiang Liang's mind turned into a storm of waves, his brain was rapidly processing. Very quickly, he realized this was a perfect opportunity, and he immediately addressed Su Ning at the top, speaking loudly. I have a precious treasure to present to the Great Xia leader. I hope sir can introduce me. As Xiang Liang's voice fell, the whole hall instantly fell into silence. Su Ning at the top, as well as everyone below, including Lin Kai who had already donned his helmet and left his seat to gather people for departure, all turned their eyes on Xiang Liang kneeling on the ground, faces full of peculiar expressions. You want to meet our leader? After a long while, Lin Kai finally couldn't hold back and spoke. After he finished, he directly walked slowly towards Xiang Liang. Lin Kai, standing over 190 cm tall, with his pale gold armor and helmet covering half his face, made his tall and strong figure even more imposing. With his intentional heavy footsteps, he felt even more oppressive. Kneeling on the ground, Xiang Liang felt like a mountain was walking towards him, his back instantly soaked with sweat, and his body couldn't help but begin trembling. Present a treasure. Is it that thing in your hand? Let me see. Despite his trembling body, upon hearing Lin Kai's words, Xiang Liang still bit his lip and insisted in his tone. Forgive me, sir. This treasure is of great importance. I must see the leader in person. Chapter 427, Chapter 201, 5 Yuan Garrison, Cold Marrow Iron /4. Lin Kai raised an eyebrow, immediately turning back to look at Su Ning. Seeing Su Ning nod, he smiled and turned around. Snap! Without visible movement, Xiang Liang leaped up, seeing the wooden box in his hand already snatched by Lin Kai, his face immediately filled with urgency. Sir, no. Shut up, let me see what it is first. If it's something good, I'll take you back. Seeing Xiang Liang's intense reaction, Lin Kai immediately silenced him, a hint of obvious disdain in his words. He regarded the 4 camps in Northern Mountain no different than straw men, wondering what treasures such a place could offer, and yet they dared wish to meet the leader. Even he hadn't seen the leader for months. Lin Kai shook his head and opened the wooden box in his hand. Inside the box were 5 crystalline, gleaming green stones. The stones were only the size of fists, uneven on the surface and irregular in shape, but their color was vivid and extremely beautiful. Lin Kai's brow furrowed, a familiar feeling surged to his heart. He immediately picked up one piece. As soon as he picked it up, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. This must weigh 100 pounds, so heavy. In the Ice Abyss world, a regular piece of iron ore, also fist-sized, typically weighed only 50 pounds, yet these green stones weighed twice as much. Lin Kai weighed the other 4 pieces in turn, then squeezed them with force. Only at this point did genuine curiosity rise on his face as he asked Xiang Liang. What is this? Xiang Liang resigned himself to the situation, knowing there was no chance he'd personally deliver these to the Great Xia leader, and opened his mouth. Sir, could you fetch some cold beast blood? Lin Kai nodded and told Suan, Anzi, go and notify King Jiao and Black Arrow team to gear up. We're about to get busy. Suan nodded and ran out immediately. Lin Kai, too, handed the wooden box to Su Ning. Su Ning examined it closely but found no clues, and the other 7 gathered around to look as well before returning the item to Xiang Liang. Soon, Suan brought in a basin of vivid green beast blood. Sir, members of the Black Arrow and King Jiao teams have been notified. Lin Kai nodded and gestured to Xiang Liang. Xiang Liang walked over to the basin, took out 1 stone from the box, and threw it in directly. Hiss! Hearing the sharp sound from the wooden basin, Su Ning, Lin Kai, and the others leaned over, their expressions frozen as they saw what was happening inside. The green stone was rapidly absorbing the beast blood in the basin. And as the blood in the basin dwindled, the stone's color grew more vibrant, even showing slight expansion. Gentlemen, this isn't a stone. It's called cold marrow iron, which my father dug up from the iron mine. It's extremely bloodthirsty, but only for beast blood. You can see it can grow by absorbing beast blood. When we forge weapons at the camp, we mix in powder ground from it. The weapons made this way become more lethal against cold beasts. Everyone's eyes instantly lit up. Lu Yang picked up the cold marrow iron to inspect it thoroughly before turning to Su Ning and Lin Kai, saying, "This kid is probably telling the truth. Of the 4 camps in Northern Mountain, only Hefeng and Feiyu have iron mines, but their forging techniques are lacking." Something struck Lu Yang, and he slapped his forehead with a realization. "I get it now. That Xiang Ping has been asking to trade artifact embryos, and I thought he wanted to learn refining techniques. Turns out he wanted the embryo to mix in cold marrow iron powder and then forge anew." Lu Yang chuckled, put the cold marrow iron back in the box and said, "This treasure is indeed good. Bringing it to the minister shouldn't be an issue." Su Ning and Lin Kai both nodded and smiled. Just the ability to absorb cold beast blood and grow made this cold marrow iron quite a treasure. "All right then, you stay here with us. Come tomorrow night, return with us to the base and present the item to the minister." "Thank you, sir." The wooden box back in his grasp, Xiang Liang nodded promptly. He was filled with growing curiosity about the great Xia camp. He had just seen with his own eyes an abundance of beast meat, iron ore, coal stones, and various materials in the cabin. Compared to this, Hefeng camp or even all 4 northern mountain camps combined could not match these reserves. And this wasn't even their base. What would Great Xia's real base look like? Not only that, but the minister Su Ning mentioned clearly held a higher rank than anyone here. Could he be Great Xia's leader? Earlier everyone called Su Ning Lord Guardian, which Xiang Liang mistook for a special term for their leader, but now he realized his misunderstanding and dared not make assumptions about the term minister either. "All right, Suan, find him a place to stay. Lin Kai, let's prepare to depart." "Yes, sir." Su Ning instructed Suan and quickly left with Lin Kai. "I also have to lead a team. There are several coal and iron mines to visit." As something occurred to him, Lu Yang called out and followed them out. Suan then led Xiang Liang, finally leaving the hall. Chapter 428. Chapter 202. Worthless as chickens and dogs, 4 clans bow their heads. "All right, you can stay here tonight." Suan led Xiang Liang to the wooden house of his golden sword team, arranged a room for him, and then turned around ready to leave. "Sir?" Just about to step out of the room, Suan turned back to see Xiang Liang hesitating to speak, raised an eyebrow slightly and said, "If there's something to say, just say it." Xiang Liang showed a hint of hesitation on his face, but still gritted his teeth and spoke. "Sir, I know Great Xia is powerful, but Flying Tiger has allied with Yang Ping and the Moon Ming families, and they might even have coerced the Hefeng camp, in total 4 camps, with at least over 100 in the earth-digging realm, and several hundred in the logging realm. That defense officer just now took only 2 small teams. Isn't that too few people? I'm worried." Xiang Liang didn't finish his words, but the meaning was obvious. In his view, although Great Xia is strong, it is somewhat overly confident. Judging by the numbers in Suan's team, Great Xia's 2 squads could at most comprise 40 or 50 people. To take on 4 camps with just these many people is nothing short of a pipe dream. "What, are you afraid we can't handle those 4 camps of the Flying Tigers?" Suan looked at Xiang Liang with a slight teasing tone. Thinking of those 4 camps, a hint of disdain immediately appeared deep in his eyes. Nevertheless, knowing Xiang Liang was just reminding him, he didn't say much. He merely looked outside the door, showing a hint of a smile, and said, "Follow me." After saying this, he led the way out, Xiang Liang following behind him without understanding, and soon they both reached the cave entrance. Outside the cave was the wooden house. Suan went out first, and Xiang Liang, full of suspicion, followed. Upon stepping out of the cave, Xiang Liang looked up to see the scene inside the wooden house, and his expression froze. The person himself was instantly stunned. His mouth trembled for quite a while before he slowly spoke. "This gulp." In the middle of the wooden house stood 3 full formations. Each formation had 5 rows, 10 people per row. Combined, the 3 formations totaled 150 people. Just people alone were, of course, not enough to cause such a reaction from Xiang Liang. The issue was that among these 150 people, nearly 1/3 were clad in pale golden armor, identical to what Su Ning and Lin Kai were wearing just now. The remaining 2/3 were dressed in the same style, pure black armor, which at a glance was clearly iron-made. The 150 people, not only did each have an iron core bow on their back, they held all sorts of main weapons in their hands, and there were 3 to 4 short weapons hanging around their waists. These weapons, combined with the iron armor covering almost their entire heads, exposed only half of their faces, almost armed to the teeth. Standing in 3 formations without a word, just standing there gave an incredibly strong sense of pressure. This suit of iron armor alone weighs 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. Adding the bows on their backs, the main weapons in their hands, and the short weapons equipped, this set of equipment weighs no less than 4,000 pounds, which meaning just forging the equipment worn by these 150 people alone would consume at least 600,000 pounds of iron ore. That's not even counting the wastage, nor the manpower and resources needed. What I calculated was just the iron ore alone. The pale golden armor worn by that third of them, he couldn't even discern the material, and the value was clearly higher than the black armor. Even without mentioning the value, just the fact that they can move with ease while carrying over 4,000 pounds of equipment makes it very clear what cultivation realm these 150 people are in. Earth-digging realm, 150 people, all in the earth-digging realm. No, that's not all. Xiang Liang followed Su in and moved a bit closer, casually picking a person in the rear wearing black iron armor for observation, and his pupils contracted. A hint of disbelief appeared on his face, so he chose another person. Yet after watching for a while, his expression was once again frozen. After randomly observing over 10 people, Xiang Liang finally looked away, sweat streaming down his forehead, and a large patch of his back was soaked. Each and every one of them gives me a feeling of being stronger than my father, not just stronger, but those in the front row clad in pale golden armor are even significantly stronger than my father. How is that possible? Xiang Liang's father, Xiang Ping, is the leader of Hefeng camp and had broken through to the earth-digging realm 4 or 5 years ago, with a basic strength of 14,000. Although not the top among the 4 camps of the northern mountain, he is still a strong contender. Yet among these 150 people before him, there wasn't a single one weaker than his father. Only now did Xiang Liang truly realize that those he saw when he first entered the wooden house earlier were just the tip of the iceberg of Great Xia. Among the 4 camps of the northern mountain, the strongest should be the Flying Tiger camp's Wang Lai, with a basic strength of 17,000, followed by Yang Ping's He Feng, with a basic strength of 15,000. Then your father Xiang Ping with 14,000, and Moon Ming's Liu Qing only has 13,000. Flying Tiger has 38, Yang Ping has 32, Moon Ming has 30, your Hefeng has 29, and the 4 camps together have a total of 129 in the earth-digging realm. The logging realm in each camp is around 200, adding up to a total of 942. The Flying Tiger camp is located 2 miles west of Beilu Mountain Wall. Yang Ping camp is at. As he listened to Suen next to him slowly describe, including the strongest in the northern mountains 4 camps, the number of people in the earth-digging realm and logging realm, the overall population situation, and even the precise locations of the 4 camps, one by one. Chapter 429. Chapter 202, Worthless Foes, 4 Clans Bow Down Part 2. From the initial shock, Xiang Liang had become numb. Worried that we can't defeat the 4 northern mountain camps. Suen didn't wait for Xiang Liang to speak. After a brief pause, he proudly continued, with a basic strength of 17,000 jin, one wouldn't even qualify to create a hunting team in our Great Xia camp. Forget about your 4 camps teaming up. Even if 40 or 100 of you came together to Great Xia, you'd be no more than a bunch of weaklings extinguishable with a wave of the hand. If this had been said earlier, Xiang Liang would not have believed it. But at this moment, looking at these 150 fully armed, heavily armored soldiers before him, even though Su En's words seemed incredible, Xiang Liang couldn't help but believe it. Just then, Su Ning came over with Lin Kai and Lu Yang, arriving in front of the 150 men. Previously in the cave hall, only Su Ning and Lin Kai wore golden armor, while Lu Yang was in casual clothes. Now, he also donned golden armor, with a slender long sword in hand. Su Ning stood in front of the central phalanx, glanced back at Lu Yang and Lin Kai, and upon seeing them slightly shrug in acknowledgement, he nodded, turned to face everyone below and grinned a few times. Su Ning's right eye was blind, and his grin actually looked quite ferocious. But everyone below clearly knew what they were about to do. Seeing him grin broadly, they also burst into laughter. Ha ha, sir, you're grinning so much your mouth is split open. More than 5,000 people, and just in contribution value, there's major profit to be made. And so many in the earth-digging realm, they're the ones who chose to fight us. We're not bullying them. Over 100 prisoners in the earth-digging realm can help me mine for a long time. Don't fight me for them, I just need to capture one. You've got some wishful thinking there. With our 150 people, plus the Lord and 2 captains, even combining the earth-digging realm folks from the 4 northern mountain camps, they wouldn't be enough for each of us. Whether you can capture one depends on your ability. Think I'm weaker than you? I'll bet 100 contribution value that I'll capture at least one. Dare you bet? 100 is hardly a bet, at least 500. 500? I won't bet. If my wife finds out, I'll bet so high she'll chew me out. Hadiyahata. The atmosphere instantly turned joyous amid everyone's banter. Seeing them finish joking around, Su Ning smiled and continued. All right. I know you're excited right now, but all of you, shut up and listen to my instructions. As the defense envoy of Great Xia's Huayuan, Su Ning naturally carried a certain level of prestige. As soon as he spoke, everyone immediately stopped joking, standing at attention with solemn expressions, looking up at him. It's still unclear if Wang Lai has gathered all the earth-digging realm members from the 3 camps together. Tomorrow is the new year, and time is tight. To not delay everyone's return home, I won't bother sending scouts first. Our 3 teams will split up to tackle each camp. Pausing here, Su Ning continued. I'll take the Black Arrow team to Flying Tiger Camp, Lin Kai. You lead the King Jiao team to Yang Ping, and Lu Yang. You lead the East Sun team to Moon Howl. Quickly take care of the 3 camps. Then bring everyone to gather at Hefeng Camp, and finally relocate everyone here. I've already arranged for the path back to Middle 8 Peak through North Slope to be cleared of snow obstacles, so the return journey should be much faster. There are about 4 more hours till midnight. Let's aim to finish before dawn and bring these over 5,000 people back to the base by tomorrow night. Upon hearing they returned to the base for the new year, everyone's expression slightly trembled. Yes, sir. Lin Kai and Lu Yang were the first to bow and nod. Though they were both captains of intermediate teams, during formal discussions, they naturally needed to show respect to Su Ning, the defense envoy of Huayuan. We obey. All 150 members of the 3 teams below nodded and shouted in unison. Instantly, the sound shook the sky, causing the entire log cabin to shake incessantly. Move out. With a deep shout from Su Ning, the 150 men moved by command, turning in order and heading toward the front door of the log cabin. At the cave entrance on the north side of the log cabin, watching Su Ning arrange everything with just a few words and leave directly with 150 men towards the north slope. Xiang Liang couldn't react for a long time. They're setting off just like that. No pre-battle reconnaissance, no focus on gathering superior forces to strike a point, no pre-battle mobilization at all. No time allowed for preparation from the moment they learned the news until now. This means they truly don't consider the 4 northern mountain camps as a threat. All right, you go back and wait, Suan said. As long as your father hasn't fallen victim to Wang Lai before dawn, the 3 lords should bring him and everyone from your Hefeng camp here. Hearing Suan's words, Xiang Liang's face showed a hint of concern. Logically, since Wang Lai planned to coerce Hefeng camp to join them in attacking the Great Xia camp, he shouldn't harm his father, Xiang Ping. But such matters are uncertain. If his father refused to act friendly and insisted on not allying with the 3 camps, it's possible that Wang Lai might act ruthlessly. Worried sick with these thoughts, Xiang Liang waited for 3 hours. Sensing only an hour left before dawn, he couldn't contain his anxiety and stepped out of the cave to wait outside the log cabin. Coming out of the log cabin, he realized that the people inside didn't seem to worry at all about the more than 100 people who had just left. Many were intently focused on their tasks, seemingly unconcerned. Chapter 430, Chapter 202, Worthless Rabble, 4 Camps Bow Down Part 3. Tomorrow night I can finally go back. I've been staying at Huayuan for more than a month. This time I've gathered quite a lot of Chengguo and Xianghan fruit. When I go back, I should be able to exchange for plenty of contribution value, buy a new outfit for my son, add some new furniture at home, and for my wife. I'm not far from the earth-digging realm. This time I can go back and it's my turn for the martial arts hall. If I stay for a day, I should be able to break through smoothly. Impressive, once you break through, joining the hunting department will be comfortable from now on. Just now, the Lord of Guard was talking to Captain Lin. I overheard it. Apparently, the leader will come out of seclusion tomorrow night. We haven't seen the leader for several months, right? The leader coming out of seclusion. No wonder the Lord of Guard is in such a hurry. I guess he wants to relocate everyone from the 4 camps of the northern mountain to please the leader. Contribution value, martial arts hall, hunting department. The people's dialogue was filled with a bunch of terms Xiang Liang couldn't understand, but there were some he could comprehend. Great Xia camp, just like them, also calls their leader similarly. The Lord of Guard should be the one-eyed Su Ning. Combining with Su Ning's recent attitude during the lecture to the people, Huayuan Guard presumably means the top official of the Great Xia camp on 5-8 Mountain. Xiang Liang inferred various situations about the Great Xia camp by overhearing others' conversations, while constantly observing the movement of the wooden door. With only half an hour left until dawn, finally. The winds and rains from all directions can't compare to the rain of our Redwood Ridge. A voice came from outside the wooden door. Immediately someone walked over from the side. Dragon Gate Mountain is raining. The tiger of the snow plains descends. After exchanging the secret codes, the person directly opened the door. Everyone come over, escort the captives inside first. The rest go back and help. There are more than 5,000 people. First settle them outside the wooden house. Quick, quick, quick. Su En's urgent voice sounded outside the wooden door. Everyone inside the wooden house began to act immediately, and with someone notifying, people constantly came from the northern cave to help. Get inside quickly. Don't dawdle, get inside fast. Xiang Liang wanted to help, but a few stern shouts came from outside the wooden door. After the stern shouts subsided, a disheveled person, hands bound, covered in wounds, walked in first. Wang Lai. Seeing that person's face, Xiang Liang's expression changed instantly. Soon after, 2 more people walked in. He Feng Liu Qing. The 4 camps of the northern mountain often trade with each other, which is why Wang Lai took the opportunity to coax 3 other camps to attack Great Xia together. Xiang Liang had seen these 3 camp leaders before, so he could recognize them. Seeing these once high and mighty leaders, now covered in wounds and sullenly escorted in by Great Xia people, Xiang Liang felt an inexplicable thrill. Of course, he didn't forget to quickly find his family among the crowd. Father. Finally, among the captives at the forefront, he saw his father, Xiang Ping. He shouted loudly. Xiang Ping immediately froze, then turned to see Xiang Liang inside the wooden house. His face lighted up with surprise and joy. Don't stop, keep moving forward, it's almost dawn. Xiang Ping was about to speak, but hearing the urging sound from behind, he closed his mouth and continued to follow the guidance of the crowd. Father was captured too. Not only his father Xiang Ping, seeing a number of earth-digging realm from Hefeng camp among the captives ahead, Xiang Liang's expression turned grim. Father also led people to confront those from Great Xia. He was coerced by Wang Lai and had no choice but to agree. He had just told Su Ning about these situations. Su Ning should know it by now, so why were father and the others still tied up this? Xiang Liang saw the outside Su Ning still directing the crowd, knowing now wasn't the time to approach him, so he walked to his father's side first. Father, didn't you explain to Lord Su Ning that our Hefeng camp was coerced by Wang Lai? Why were you still tied up? Hearing his son's words, Xiang Ping showed a hint of helplessness as he walked along and said, While coming over, I requested several times to see the Lord, but couldn't even say a word. They kept urging us to move quickly. Xiang Liang glanced at the sky outside, immediately understanding. Don't worry, father, I've already informed Lord Su Ning. He knows the details. He'll definitely let you all go later. Xiang Ping nodded and continued chatting with his son. Xiang Ping learned a lot about Great Xia from his son's words. Xiang Liang also heard from his father about the recent skirmish between Great Xia's small teams and their group. Their conversation immediately sparked their eyes with joy. Chapter 431, Chapter 203, Shock, Prisoner Rules and What Constitutes Guilt. 4 families, numbering 5,000 to 6,000 people, gradually flooded in, and the outer wooden house instantly became overcrowded. Look, what's that? Someone first noticed the supplies piled on either side of the wooden house, and after speaking in shock, everyone around him immediately turned their heads in the direction he pointed. At this glance, they were instantly dumbfounded. There's so much beast meat piled over there. So much iron ore, coal stone, Chengyu, and what is that? Gasp, how much cargo do those 3 large carts hold? So many iron tools, how can Great Xia be so wealthy? They're wearing complete sets of clothing in many different colors, with hairstyles and accessories I've never seen before. With these few people speaking out, the 5,000 plus who had just entered and were still shaken now gradually looked at everything inside the wooden house. The ground was piled high with azure beast meat. Beside it, forest white beast bones stood like peaks. Fruits in blue, white, red, purple, green were dazzling. Shovels, chisels, saws, axes, various iron tools lay casually on the ground. Swords, spears, sabers, halberds, lances, staves, weapons they had never seen before, held in the hands of great Xia people. On one side of the wooden house, 2 heaps of iron ore and coal stone rose like mountains, and astonishingly, people were continually loading them into bags, transporting them one after another onto the 3 iron carts in the middle of the wooden house. Gulp! That iron ore must weigh over 1,000,000 pounds, right? Likely more, the coal stone is even more. It's already filled half a cart. How can Great Xia be so affluent? Seeing everything around the wooden house, the 4 families' camps, totaling 5,000 to 6,000 people, all widened their eyes, faces full of shock and emotion. Listening to the sounds rising and falling from the crowd, Xiang Liang's face showed no trace of surprise. For just moments ago, his reaction was the same as these people, if not more so. What did you say, this place isn't even Great Xia's real station? But Xiang Ping beside him was different. The shock on his face was even greater than others because of what his son Xiang Liang had just shared with him. That's right, father, this is only the Great Xia camp, a station at 5-8 Mountain, and they named this place Huayuan. The one named Su Ning is in charge here. I heard others call him Minister of Defense. His rank in Great Xia isn't even the highest. There is a minister above him and a leader. Gulp! Xiang Ping turned his head, looking at Su Ning, just entering from outside the wooden house, eyes wide and face full of disbelief. How could this be? How could this be? Upon hearing his father's trembling question, Xiang Liang shook his head with a bitter smile. His father had already told him how Su Ning and his men effortlessly defeated them. All the earth-digging realm of the 4 families were gathered at the Flying Tiger camp, encountering the 50 men of Su Ning's Black Arrow team. Over 100 earth-digging realm plus more than 200 logging realm from Flying Tiger camp couldn't hold for half an hour. Not only were 20-plus people killed, the rest were captured alive without even scratching the opponent. How is this possible? Recalling what his father just said, Xiang Liang found it hard to believe. Unable to resist his curiosity, asked, "Father, just how strong is Lord Su's power? You surely couldn't all be unable to defeat even one of his 50 men." Xiang Ping turned his head to look at his son, his face full of bitterness. "It's not that I couldn't defeat them. It was Wang Lai. Only one person in black iron armor from those 50 came out and defeated Wang Lai." Gulp! Xiang Liang's expression tightened, but before he could say anything, his father Xiang Ping continued. Even after Wang Lai was defeated, he stubbornly tried to rely on numbers and use the camp as a fortress to resist. Yet in the end, the 5-ton heavy iron gate of the Flying Tiger camp's cave was cut open by that Lord Su Ning with 4 slashes. Those 50 broke in after toppling the door, and we couldn't resist for long before all being injured and captured. Even without witnessing it firsthand, Xiang Liang could imagine Wang Lai's despair at that moment. No wonder his father couldn't articulate Su Ning's strength. That Minister of Defense only executed 4 strikes to break the iron gate at Flying Tiger camp and didn't take further action. "Father, you also fought with those people." Quickly, Xiang Liang caught the key message in his father's words. Seeing his father nod, his expression immediately became clouded. Hefeng camp was coerced by Wang Lai and others. That was undoubtedly true. But having engaged with these people from Great Xia meant a different situation. Did all 29 earth-digging realm from our camp take action? Still unwilling to give up, Xiang Liang pursued further. Xiang Ping, understanding his son's intention, his complexion became troubled, nodded, and helplessly said, "We only launched one attack, directed by Wang Lai to shoot arrows. All the earth-digging realm from the 4 families, including some logging realm from the Flying Tiger camp, joined in." Xiang Liang's expression instantly turned gloomy, and he remained silent for a long time. He wasn't blaming them, as his father and the others were coerced into acting, nothing could be done. It was mainly because he couldn't predict how Great Xia would deal with these people. "Father, don't worry, I'll go plead with them," Xiang Liang said solemnly and walked towards the Great Xia people on the north side of the wooden house, by the cave entrance. Chapter 432, Chapter 203, Shock, Prisoner Rules and What Constitutes Guilt, Part 2. 5,321 people, 124 captives from the earth-digging realm, 821 from the logging realm, and the remaining over 4,000 are all ordinary people. Lu Yang reported the situation of the 4 camps, and everyone around immediately smiled. Lin Kai, looking excited, said, "In the past 6 months there have been 6 integrated camps, only 2 medium-sized, and the other 4 are small camps with a total population of less than 4,000. This time, we have over 5,000 people, and so many from the earth-digging realm. Minister will be very happy when he finds out." Thinking of something, his tone paused, and he continued. The key is, our leader is about to come out too." Upon hearing that the leader will be out, Su Ning, Lu Yang, Su-wen, and a few others nearby all smiled. Lu Yang glanced around at the 5,000 people in the wooden cabin, his face slightly serious, and said, "These people indeed gathered together, ready to make a move against us. Since that's the case, we can't directly give them Great Xia identity." Everyone nodded in agreement upon hearing this. Su Ning pointed to the front row of the crowd at Wang Lai and the many earth-digging realm people behind him, laughing. "This man is the main culprit, stubborn even at the brink of death. He can't escape 2 years of forced labor. Those behind him, less than a year of forced labor at the least. By tomorrow night, when we return to the station, report the situation to the camp supply department and let them handle it." Upon hearing the term forced labor, Lin Kai and Lu Yang's faces were full of regret. "It's a pity they were encountered by your Black Arrow team. 124 captives, a year of forced labor, tusk. Black Arrow team won't have to worry about coal and iron quotas for the next few years. How come we weren't the ones to encounter them?" After Lin Kai finished, he thought of something, approached Su Ning and smiled. "Share a few with us. Our team doesn't have enough hunting time. Where will we find time for mining, Su Zai? Share a few with me, how about it?" Upon hearing, Lu Yang immediately echoed, Yes, our East Sun team doesn't have enough hunting time either, old Su, share a few with me." Upon hearing the request from both, Su Ning was in a great mood and laughed heartily before saying, "You want them. If you want them, you have to buy them with contribution value. 1 captive costs 15,000 points, how about it?" Upon hearing the price, Lu Yang immediately looked up at Su Ning. "That's too high, make it cheaper." Lu Yang, working in the camp's supply department, was in charge of coal and iron mining in Huayuan and transactions with other camps, so he was most sensitive to these numbers and figured it out instantly that it wasn't worth it. But Lin Kai couldn't, he calculated a little slower. After realizing it, he also quickly shouted it was too expensive, calling Su Ning dark-hearted. A year of forced labor, calculated by the mining amount using the chewing teeth chisel for the earth-digging realm, is 400 pounds a day, which is 40 points of contribution value. 360 days is 14,400 points. Su Ning actually quoted 15,000, no wonder they called it too dark. Dark, then I'm not letting go, wasn't planning to anyway. With over 100 captives, our team won't need to mine for at least 4 to 5 years in the future. With so much extra time, I can hunt so many cold beasts, ha. Seeing Su Ning's cheeky look, Lu Yang and Lin Kai knew he wasn't planning to share at all, his intentions clear, making them grit their teeth in hatred. No way, gotta quickly find a new camp, must encounter some unwise ones. As soon as a wave of earth-digging realm captives come, our entire team can be freed from mining for years. Upon hearing Lin Kai, Lu Yang nodded in agreement, eyes full of desire. The captive rules were newly formulated by Xia Chuan 2 months ago. 2 months ago, Yue Feng's Mountain River team, to the north of Mirror Valley, also in Pinxi Plain, discovered 2 new medium-sized camps. The hunting teams from these camps coveted the weapons in the hands of 3 solitary members of the Mountain River team, and even joined forces to make a move against them. Although the opponent was numerous, fortunately, those 3 had rich wilderness experience, and they eventually managed to escape back to Mirror Valley. At that time, Yue Feng's Mountain River team had just been promoted to intermediate. Encountering such a group of unwise people, their reaction was predictable. The 2 camps naturally were integrated into Great Xia. But the integration method was different from before. The captive rules were formulated by Xia Chuan then, with the overall principle that anyone who makes a move against Great Xia members should be criminalized. The so-called captive rules mean entering the camp as captives. They must serve forced labor, and the duration of service varies based on the severity of the crime, with a maximum of lifetime and a minimum of half a year. After completing forced labor, one can obtain formal identity as a member of Great Xia camp. All camps that actively make a move against Great Xia are subject to this rule. Actually, the first camps to use this rule were the Three Tiger and Tongling of 5-8 Mountain. Back then, Liu Dahu was stubbornly ignorant. His two brothers also refused to act until confronted, and after Xia Chuan's investigation, found out that Liu Dahu and Meng Yuan had made a move against Xia Hong and sentenced 4 people directly to lifetime forced labor. These 4 are still in the dark mining caves, probably never getting out in their lifetime. Later, to use this rule as incentive, Xia Chuan also advocated that the hunting team that captured the captives would own them, and the mining of coal and iron by the captives during forced labor could be used to meet the monthly quotas required by the hunting team. The 2 camps north of Mirror Valley were both settled by the Mountain River team, with over 50 earth-digging realm captives naturally belonging to them. Chapter 433, Chapter 203, Shock Prisoner Rules What is Guilt, Part 3. The Mountain River team, thanks to those 40-odd prisoners, not only earns an average of 500 contribution value per person per month effortlessly, but also has plenty of extra time for hunting. This made everyone go wild. Nearly all the hunting teams were frantically searching for traces of other camps. This time, with that clever Wang Lai, Feihu, and 3 other camps, it was obvious that the prisoner rule also applied to them. Su Ning picked up over 100 prisoners for free, so the team wouldn't need to enter the mines for several years, making his mood incredibly cheerful at this moment. I guess I got lucky. If it weren't for me becoming the Yuan defense, I probably wouldn't have had the chance with these over 100 prisoners, hahaha. Thinking of this, Su Ning looked at Wang Lai again and even found him much more adorable. Suddenly, Suan ran over from a distance and whispered in Su Ning's ear, "Big brother, that Xiang Liang wants to see you." Hearing this, Su Ning raised an eyebrow, looked back at Xiang Liang, who was blocked on the outskirts by team members, pondered for a moment and nodded, saying, "Let him come over." Suan hurried over, whispered a few words and brought Xiang Liang along. "Sir, last night when I arrived, I already reported to you that our Hefeng camp was coerced by Wang Lai and had no choice but to join them. My father, Xiang Ping, and others from beginning to end should have only fired 1 arrow at the Great Xia people. I beg you, show mercy and spare them." Xiang Liang, upon approaching, knelt directly before Su Ning without thinking. Su Ning furrowed his brow, glanced at Xiang Ping in the crowd, and said softly, "When we return, I will inform the person responsible of this situation, and during the judgment, we will consider leniency for your Hefeng camp accordingly." Judgment. Hearing this, Su Ning became anxious and said, "Sir, last night I risked my life to bring the news to Great Xia, also under my father's instruction. No matter what, he shouldn't be guilty. Moreover, he should have only fired 1 arrow from beginning to end, causing no casualties to Great Xia. He even asked me to offer the cold marrow iron to Great Xia, sir. Then, in your opinion, what does it mean to be guilty?" Su Ning suddenly interrupted Xiang Liang with a stern voice, posing a question. Xiang Liang froze, unable to respond, and Su Ning continued speaking. "The moment your father chose to fire, he was already guilty." He deliberately raised his voice, his words firm and powerful, not only making the surrounding Great Xia people glance over with a hint of mockery, but also causing Wang Lai and thousands who just entered the cabin to quiet down and look over. "For you risking your life to bring us information, both I and the 12 teams stationed in Yuan are grateful to you and can even agree to some of your conditions. But if you expect the entire Great Xia camp to owe you this favor, that's quite wishful thinking." As he said this, he paused, looked around, found Xiang Ping in the crowd, and continued, "Firing only 1 arrow wasn't because of your father's conscience, but because he didn't have the capability to fire a second one. You should be thankful he only fired 1 arrow. If there had been casualties tonight, your father and these people wouldn't just be tied up waiting for judgment." Su Ning coldly chuckled, glanced at the people in the front including Wang Lai, then turned back to Xiang Liang and said, "You and these people, You'll be returning to the Great Xia Station with us tomorrow night. Before we return, there's a message you all must remember well." As he said this, Su Ning withdrew the smile from his face, his expression becoming solemn. "Anyone who raises a hand against Great Xia, regardless of who they are or their reasons, shall be deemed guilty." This statement seemed to carry a certain power, and as Su Ning finished speaking, Lin Kai, Lu Yang, Su Wen, and all the Great Xia people around them looked more solemn, with a hint of pride appearing on their faces. To raise a hand against Great Xia is to be guilty, without argument. Kneeling on the ground, Xiang Liang sensed the domineering tone in this statement, and a chill ran through his heart. His mouth moved slightly, but he dared not say another word. "It's dawn, start packing up. Once it's dark, we can head back to Twin Dragon Valley for the new year. It's been a tough few months, finally able to return, haha. Iron ore, coal stone, fruits, beast meat, beast bone. There's so much to pack, hurry up, hurry up. There are also lots of things in the cave, let's go, let's all move them." Hearing Su Ning's words, the Great Xia people immediately became excited and fervently began packing the supplies inside the cabin. Returning to Twin Dragon Valley for the new year was clearly of great significance to them. Chapter 434, Chapter 204, Homecoming, Unease, and Birds. The first year of Great Xia, December 30th, just after nightfall. Set off. Under Su Ning's command, the group at 5-8 Mountain, after a night of preparation, formed a grand procession and set out from Middle 8 Peak. Lin Kai's King Jiao team led 3 low-level teams to pave the way. Following that, each of the 3 low-level teams escorted a cart. Then came over 5,000 people from the 4 camps of Flying Tiger. Finally, Lu Yang's East Sun team led 3 teams to guard the rear. Su Ning led his own Black Arrow team to patrol and protect the flanks. The team first had to walk west along Xing River North Bank for about 15 kilometers, until they could see the west side wall of Twin Dragon Mountain, then continue north along the mountain wall for 13 kilometers to reach the Twin Dragon Valley Station. A distance of 27 kilometers if it were Su Ning alone wouldn't take half an hour, but with over 6,000 people it was much slower. Only 4 kilometers in half an hour. At this rate, it might take over 3 hours to complete the journey. This pace is too slow, go hurry them up. Su Ning, wandering on the flanks, noticed the slow pace of the crowd and slightly furrowed his brows, instructing a few team members beside him. "Yes, sir." A dozen people immediately dispersed quickly throughout the team, loudly urging them on. "Move a bit faster, don't drag your feet, hurry up. Pick up the young ones and quicken the pace, hurry, hurry, hurry. It's just nightfall, the temperature hasn't dropped too low yet, move faster, accelerate." The Ice Abyss is very wary of large-scale group movements. 5,000 to 6,000 people migrating is seen as a moving feast by the cold beasts and ghouls. This can't go on slowly. On receiving the word, Lin Kai in the front row immediately quickened his steps, resulting in the overall speed of the entire group increasing significantly. "What's the rush, trying to freeze us to death? Slow down a bit, my child can't take it, it's too cold outside. Where exactly is the Great Xia Station? Why haven't we arrived yet?" In the middle part, Flying Tiger and the other 4 camps totaled 5,000 to 6,000 people, men and women, young and old, all had a coal-marked cross on their foreheads, clearly denoting their status as captives. These people were continuously urged on, naturally emanating a lot of complaints. But complaints aside, seeing the constant patrolling and urging of the Great Xia people around them, even if discontent, they could only mutter quietly and obediently quicken their steps, continuing to follow the group. Xiang Liang was also in the middle section, though his forehead wasn't marked with a cross. Seeing his father and others next to him silently bowing their heads and hurrying along, thinking they were afraid, Xiang Liang softly spoke, comforting, "Father, don't worry. Once we reach Great Xia, I will plead with the minister. If that doesn't work, I'll go to their leader. I don't believe all of Great Xia is as unreasonable as Su Ning." Xiang Ping raised his head to look at his son, shook his head and smiled. "I'm not afraid. I'm just thinking about how good that Great Xia Station might be." Great Xia Station, how good might it be? Xiang Liang was stunned, looking around at the others and noticing their expression mirroring his father's. Seeing the 3 carts in the front filled with supplies, he suddenly understood. Even a small Huayuan station has abundant supplies like this. Then how good must the Great Xia Station be? Even his leader father couldn't imagine. Others even more so. You might worry about others, but me, your Uncle Dong, He Feng Liu Qing, and even Wang Lai, along with all the earth-digging realm people, will surely be fine once we reach Great Xia. You can rest assured. Xiang Ping showed a confident smile, listing a bunch of names, eventually including Wang Lai. I don't know why Great Xia wants us moved there, but considering they didn't deal us a deadly hand last night, this Great Xia isn't a slaughtering camp. They must have a use for us. After a pause, Xiang Ping continued, perhaps mining or hunting, they need us to work for them. Given that, they certainly won't kill us. Xiang Liang immediately reacted, his eyes brightening. Exactly. Father is right, with Su Ning and his team's strength. Killing them wouldn't be difficult, so if they're spared, there must be a reason. He didn't understand Great Xia's rules for captives, was apprehensive about labor duties, and worried that his father and others might be judged once back at Great Xia. Listening to his father's words now, he understood. The earth-digging realm's mining and hunting abilities inherently made them valuable in any camp. Great Xia certainly wouldn't harm them recklessly. I've observed during the day in the wooden houses that Great Xia has over 800 people here in Huayuan, more than half are earth-digging realm, yet that's only 400. Judging from this, the total number of earth-digging realm at their station should not be many. Our group of more than 100 people isn't too few for them. Xiang Liang nodded, the light in his eyes growing ever brighter. 400 earth-digging realm at a Huayuan outpost seemed extremely grandiose to Xiang Liang, not to mention the terrifying strength of Su Ning, Lin Kai, and Lu Yang leading their teams. To him, this must be the majority of Great Xia's power. Boldly speculating, even if Huayuan's guarding forces only made up half of Great Xia's full strength, it would still be formidable. Chapter 435, Chapter 204, Homecoming Unease and Birds. At most, only about 1,000 earth-digging realm cultivators. For Great Xia, my father and Wang Lai, with their over 100 earth-digging realm members, also constitute a considerable force. They definitely wouldn't act recklessly. Why has the caravan stopped ahead? Unknowingly, hours had passed in conversation between father and son. Noticing the caravan had halted, Xiang Ping immediately stretched his neck to look ahead. Unfortunately, they were in the middle of the caravan and could not see the front. I'll go take a look. Those marked with coal on their heads weren't allowed to move freely, but Xiang Liang wasn't among them. He spoke and headed towards the front. Xiang Liang moved through the crowd, past 3 fully loaded wagons, and when he looked up ahead, his face immediately froze. Leading the entire caravan was Lin Kai's King Jiao team, along with 3 other low-level teams. At this moment, all 4 teams had stopped, because Lin Kai was talking with a mysterious stranger. An ordinary conversation certainly wasn't enough to shock Xiang Liang. The key was that Lin Kai's demeanor, while speaking to that person, was extremely humble. Humble? According to Xiang Liang's observations in Huayuan over the past 2 days, Lin Kai and Lu Yang should have similar status to that of the defense officer, and they usually conversed quite naturally without a clear superior-subordinate relationship. Could it be the minister? Xiang Liang looked carefully for a while, confirmed he hadn't seen wrong, and a speculation arose in his mind, eyes lighting up, quickly moving closer again. Their conversation wasn't deliberately hushed, so getting closer allowed him to hear everything. More than 5,000 people, my goodness, Huayuan's done a huge service this time. Ha, thanks for the auspicious words, sir. The defense is in the middle supervising others to hurry along. It might take a bit more time. Should I notify him? No need, no need. Tonight, the whole camp is brightly lit, the city gates wide open, waiting for your group from Huayuan to return. It's just a few hours to midnight, soon to close the city gates and begin the New Year ceremony. The city gate is only 5 kilometers from here. Quickly bring your men in. I'll have the Tiger Leopard team escort you for a while. Thank you, Deputy Director. Brothers, let's continue on our way. With Lin Kai's last command, the caravan moved forward again. Amidst the crowd, Xiang Liang was stunned. Deputy Director. This person isn't even that minister. Deputy, meaning there's a director above. Defense, Deputy Director, Director, Minister, Leader. Could it be that, in Great Xia, Lin Kai isn't even considered high-level? Gulp. Xiang Liang swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The next second, his pupils dilated immediately. Not just him, but many people beside him, too, widened their eyes, looking ahead, their expressions as if they had seen something uncanny. Clang, clang, clang. At the front of the caravan suddenly appeared a team of 50 figures, clad in pale gold armor, swiftly dividing into two groups skirting to the caravan's left and right sides, beginning to escort them forward. Others might have felt merely a visual impact, but not Xiang Liang. The Black Arrow, King Jiao, and East Sun teams, too, were configured with 50 members. Yet each team had only about a dozen clad in gold armor, while this team before him had all 50 in gold armor. "I'll have the Tiger Leopard team escort you." Recalling the last words the person said, Xiang Liang's gaze sharpened. This Tiger Leopard team's strength absolutely surpassed that of the Black Arrow and the other three teams. Gulp! Just how many strong individuals does this great Xia have? Hurry up, we're almost there, speed it up. Another round of urging came, and Xiang Liang, with no time to ponder, was swept along by the crowd, rapidly heading north. Over an hour passed just like that, and the caravan finally saw the end of the mountain walls. Or rather, it should be said, a gap in the mountain wall. The Great Xia Valley, they had finally arrived. "We're home. Hallelujah, home at last. Finally home." The Great Xia people all broke into happy, excited smiles upon seeing the valley, with some even unable to restrain themselves from shouting out loud. The sound spread from the front to the back, and everyone heard it. Among the 5,000 to 6,000 people from the camps like Feihu, though they didn't understand why Great Xia's people were so excitedly happy, when they looked up and saw the valley, their mood relaxed as well. "Finally, we don't have to walk anymore. We're here. Is that the valley entrance? Doesn't look like a valley entrance, all square and neat. Is it a city gate? What a joke, where could there be such a large city gate? It really is, look, a city gate, such a massive city gate." Hiss. The crowd was filled with voices of doubt and disbelief. However, as the horizon widened and the valley entrance became clear, everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. At the Great Xia Valley entrance, two gigantic double-opening iron gates, 27 meters high and 12 meters wide, stood wide open facing them. The doors opened outward, allowing them to see clearly at a glance. The iron gates even boasted a thickness of over a meter. Gulp! Is this a gate? Pure iron? Just how much iron ore was used to forge this? Millions? No, it must be tens of millions, right? Once these iron doors close, nothing could break in, right? Thousands had startled expressions, Xiang Liang among them. Being the leader's son, he knew more about iron ore than others. An iron ore the size of a fist weighed 40 or 50 pounds, but with doors this massive, not even considering the forging method, just the sheer size would weigh over 10 million pounds. Chapter 436, Chapter 204, Homecoming Unease Avian /3. Using millions of pounds of iron ore to make a gate. Just how prosperous has Great Xia become? Come on, hurry into the city, or do you still want to freeze out here? Hurry up, I'm freezing to death, desperate to go home, come on, hurry up. Quick, quick. With a few urging calls, Xiang Liang followed the crowd forward. A kilometer away from the gate, a wave of warmth greeted them face-on. Xiang Liang and all the others were suddenly taken aback. That gate was actually spewing hot air. No, the gate is indeed spewing hot air, but not to this extent. Why suddenly getting so warm out of nowhere? Everyone's face was full of curiosity, but now no one provided an answer. They could only continue to walk forward. When they reached below the iron gate, Xiang Liang and the people in the front row couldn't help but look up and gaze inside the gate. With that one glance, everyone's expressions instantaneously froze. Connected to the iron gate was a spacious avenue. In the avenue, pedestrians came and went, creating quite a bustling scene. Houses on either side of the avenue stood side by side. The key was every house had lights on. The streets were lined with hanging lamps and stove fires. The entire valley was brightly lit, full of scene of prosperity. The attires of pedestrians on the avenue varied in colors: white, yellow, red, blue, black, and styles. Beast skin cloaks, coarse cloth soft attire, satin embroidered robes, light gold armor, pure iron black armor, and many different styles. Most of the fabric and color of the clothes, Xiang Liang didn't recognize at all. Even he didn't recognize them, let alone others. While Xiang Liang and others were observing the pedestrians on the street, naturally, these pedestrians also began to observe them. Are these the people who returned from Huayuan? Why so many unfamiliar faces? I heard it's from those 4 camps earlier. Did Huayun send people back to pass the message last night? Those 4 took initiative against us but were dealt with by Master Su's team. This must be everyone they brought back. 4 camps, tusk. Master Su has accomplished another feat. What do you mean by a feat? I just heard from the Tiger Leopard team that they brought back over 100 Earth-digging realm captives. All credits go to the Black Arrow team. Su Ning's squad probably doesn't have to mine for years. Such profit, I also want to go out for a station mission. Then you'll have to work hard. Many teams are watching now, just waiting for when there will be new territories. Entering the valley, while Xiang Liang looked around at the wooden buildings, he also listened to the road discussions of the passerby. Despite not fully understanding what he saw and heard, he could infer some information from it. I previously hypothesized that the group stationed at the Huayun point could occupy half of Great Xia's strength, but now it seems absurdly wrong, randomly finding someone on the street. I feel they are all stronger than me, even stronger than my father, and there are quite a few. Su Ning's status in Great Xia is indeed not very high. Many people can call him by his first name, and there are probably many stronger than him. Iron coal, beast meat, beast bones, fruits, clothes. The supplies from Huayun were nothing at all at the Great Xia station. Black Arrow, Green Dragon, East Sun. These 3 intermediate squads are considered strong in our view, but still just the tip of the iceberg of Great Xia. For instance, the Tiger Leopard team we just saw might be stronger than many of these squads. With more information deduced in his mind, Xiang Liang's expression grew more horrified, his mood increasingly apprehensive. He was horrified by the sheer strength of Great Xia. His apprehension stemmed from the fact that, with Great Xia being so strong, his father and those 100-odd earth-digging realm people no longer held that much significance. The earth-digging realm captives they mentioned should refer to my father and them. Are they suggesting they'll be sent to mine? Is it continuous mining, or just for a period of time? While Xiang Liang felt apprehensive, he also continued walking together with the crowd. Head on the avenue, a giant wooden building came into view. Xiang Liang was instantly entranced. Not just him, the people around him, or rather like him, the 5,000 or 6,000 first-timers to Great Xia, were all entranced as they looked at the wooden building. The wooden building had 3 floors, standing about 15 meters high, stretching 200 meters in length, resembling a colossal beast lying in the valley. From the outside, one could see that most of the wooden building was constructed of timber, with only some critical parts mixed with iron materials. Its overall hue presented as alternating light gold and black, giving an inexplicable sense of solemnity and awe. Atop the wooden building, a banner was fluttering in the cold wind. The flag was golden yellow, with a large bold Xia character in the center. Beneath the eaves of each floor of the wooden building hung 40 to 50 braziers. Dragon and phoenix engravings at the roof corners were vividly highlighted by the furnace light. All 3 floors of the wooden building were brightly lit. Inside the first floor you could see many people walking back and forth. The second floor's veranda had quite a number of people leaning against it looking down, lively. Only the 3rd floor, being too high, nothing could be seen, yet its brightness was the strongest. In front of the wooden building, there was a group of 10-year-old children, probably around 1,000, practicing boxing shirtless, with every punch a loud shout. Although their strength was not very formidable judging by their punch force, the momentum was exceptionally strong, especially with that building like a massive beast in the background. The aura appeared even more magnificent. This must be the main building of Great Xia, or that leader. Xiang Liang raised his head and looked at the 3rd floor, especially the brightest spot in the center, his eyes filled with both awe and intense curiosity. Su Ning, Lin Kai, Lu Yang, come on up. A clear and resonant voice came from the 3rd floor of the wooden building, making everyone below, including Xiang Liang, suddenly react, all raising their heads to look. Unfortunately, they couldn't see anything. Could this voice be from that leader? Xiang Liang turned back, looking at Su Ning and the other 2 walking towards the wooden building excitedly, becoming even more curious about that voice. Whistle. Regrettably, before the 3 had rushed into the wooden building, an unexpected event occurred. A shrill, piercing, terrifying cry suddenly came from high in the sky. The sound seemed to carry a blow directly to the soul, making Xiang Liang and the others below show an expression of inexplicable fear. Everyone raised their heads to the sky, their faces full of horror and dread. A shocking black silhouette, 4 or 5 feet in length, plummeted from the night sky, diving towards the top of the wooden building. A flying cold beast from the sky, what is that? So fast, what does it want to do? What's there at the wooden building? Run quickly, if you don't, your life will be at stake. For the first time seeing a flying cold beast, not only Xiang Liang and the 5 or 6,000 others, but even many people in Great Xia were suddenly thrown into panic. Quite a few people even began running towards the outside. Chapter 437, Chapter 205, Director emerges from seclusion, treasure presentation opportunity. Speaking of which, the flying-type cold beast, none of the people from Great Xia have actually seen it before. It's quite understandable, considering Great Xia is located at the valley bottom, with Redwood Ridge to the west, Pinxi Plain to the north, including the Xing River to the south. This entire area is situated in the valley bottom on the west side of Twin Dragon Mountain, highly likely forming a basin. Flying-type cold beasts live in high altitudes, at the very least in regions like mountain tops. The terrain where Great Xia is situated makes encounters with them rare. Today, for some unknown reason, one unexpectedly intruded. What are you all panicking for? Are those bows on your backs just for show? Draw your bows and prepare your arrows. Stop daydreaming, hurry up and get your gear, get to work. Despite it being the first time seeing one, the long-term hunting instincts kicked in, making Luo Yuan, Su Ning, Lin Kai and Lu Yang immediately react. As soon as the four spoke, the 4 squads that had just gathered under the wooden building, a total of 200 hunting team members, swiftly drew their iron core bows from behind, knocked their arrows, and looked up at the fierce bird flying down from the sky. Screech! At the same time, another high-pitched sharp screech sounded, and the distance between the startling black silhouette and the top of the wooden building was less than 200 meters. Though it was nighttime, the firelight from the wooden building illuminated it, coupled with the flying beast's enormous size, allowing everyone below to easily see its features. The flying beast, though completely black, had feathers that were distinct under the refraction of moonlight and snowflakes, emitting a layer of dark luster. Due to its diving attack posture, the feathers were slightly raised like sharp, exposed knives. It had a sharp, excessively long beak, and when it screeched with its mouth open, it revealed rows of dense, long, sharp fangs. Its scarlet pupils were filled with fierceness and savagery. Its wings spread wide, reaching nearly 5 zhang in width, and its exceedingly robust legs over 3 meters tall ended with massive steelhook-like claws, making it incredibly ferocious. This should be a flying-type intermediate cold beast. If we can take it down, it'll count as the first kill. Let's see who's more skilled. Brothers, raise your bows and arrows. Luo Yuan not only wasn't afraid, but immediately realized this might be a great opportunity for the first kill, his eyes instantly gleaming. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As his words fell, the 50 members of the Tiger Leopard team around him immediately released their bowstrings, and dozens of iron arrows whooshed toward the flying beast. Of course, not just him. Su Ning, Lu Yang, Lin Kai, and the members of the 3 squads they led also reacted at this moment. They quickly dispersed to one side of the wooden building, rapidly shooting arrows into the air. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A dense volley of arrows instantly flew from the ground to the sky. The sound of hundreds of bowstrings twanging simultaneously was enough to make Xiang Liang and the 5 or 6,000 people below widen their eyes and hold their breath. Whoosh! However, just as the iron arrows were all breaking through the air, about to hit the target, the flying beast suddenly flapped its wings rapidly. 2 gusts of fierce wind roared out from its wings, not only sweeping away the iron arrows fired by the 200 who were on the ground, but also forming 2 thick white vortexes of air currents. The white was snowflakes. The snowflakes in the ice abyss world are as large as palms. The gust from the beast's wings caused the snowflakes to condense rapidly, resulting in the effect of 2 white vortexes of air currents. Whoosh and whoosh and whoosh. No, it didn't stop there. The 2 air currents blew directly onto the ground from midair. The target was clearly the 200 individuals who were shooting arrows. Bang! The air currents hit, and the violent force contacted the ground with a bang, instantly sending nearly half the 200 people flying backward. Although over 100 still managed to stand firm, they all appeared strained. Trying to draw the bowstring to shoot again was evidently impossible. This damned beast, just the wind from its wings is this strong. Luo Yuan retreated several meters, a look of horror on his face. An intermediate cold beast, its strength surpassing us is normal, but to repel us just with the gale from 200 meters away. It must be its innate divine ability, similar to other cold beasts. The force contained in this gale is estimated to be 70 to 80,000. The key is the wide range and destructive power once hitting the ground. Unlike others, Luo Yuan, Su Ning, Lin Kai, and Lu Yang not only managed to draw their longbows again and aimed up, but they also found time to converse. With everyone else here, this first kill might not be ours. Lu Yang turned his head, seeing people continuously rushing from all directions towards the main building. He shook his head helplessly and spoke. A new thing, haven't seen it before, let's greet it, brothers. A flying one, really a first time, can only use bows. Shoot, shoot, while the blank stares. Go. One by one, dozens of voices rang out, quickly gathering over 1,000 people around the wooden building. Countless iron arrows shot skyward, and as time went on, people kept coming. The newcomers didn't even ask questions, immediately pulling out their longbows to aim at the flying beast above and starting to shoot. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Arrow shower, this is a real arrow shower. How many earth-digging realm does this great Xia have? How can there be so many? Over 1,000, not stopping, still more coming. Look at them, at least they're all wearing iron armor, and quite a few in golden armor. Gulp. Chapter 438. Chapter 205. Director emerges from seclusion, treasure offering opportunity 2. There's more people coming, 1,500, no, nearly 2,000. Go. At this moment, what shocked the 5,000 to 6,000 people from the 4 camps, including Flying Tiger, was not the dense arrow rain in front of them, but the massive force of hunting team members suddenly flooding in from all directions. They originally thought that the things that had entered the camp and approached the wooden building were already the entirety of Great Xia's power. It was only at this moment that they truly realized that what they had just seen was merely the tip of Great Xia's iceberg. They even forgot about the flying beast in the sky. Their gaze is all focused on the surrounding Great Xia hunting team members, their faces blank, their expressions numb. More than 2,000, at least more than 2,000. How could there be so many in the Great Xia earth-digging realm? Xiang Liang looked around at the crowd, seeing that the numbers of Great Xia earth-digging realm were almost catching up to half of theirs. He only felt something blocking his throat, unable to utter a word for a long time. In the crowd, his father Xiang Ping was already stunned, with only terror and numbness left in his heart. The shock of the 5,000 to 6,000 people like Xiang Liang can be set aside. The flying beast in the sky was already almost buried by the arrow rain. Although the fierce wind stirred by its wings was strong, it couldn't withstand the iron arrows. There were simply too many, covering nearly its entire body. Though it managed to swat away most of the iron arrows, many still embedded themselves in its feathers. It wasn't clear if they penetrated its flesh, but judging from its slowed wing speed, the impact on it was considerable. At this point, the flying beast should have taken off. Screech. However, after letting out a sharper and angrier screech, it suddenly spread its wings and dived towards the main building from midair. Such audacity. Dares to dive down. Spread out, keep firing, don't let it get near the main building. Luo Yuan and several intermediate hunting team leaders, upon seeing the flying beast diving towards the wooden building, instantly became furious, first instructing everyone to continue shooting arrows, then dropping their longbows, drawing their weapons, and charging toward the wooden building. After all, it's a flying beast capable of aerial attacks. The best way to hurt it was still with bows. But since it was recklessly diving down, Luo Yuan and the others wouldn't miss such an opportunity. Moreover, how important the wooden building was. Especially the top floor, which was where the leader was in seclusion cultivating. They wouldn't let this beast get close. Everyone stepped back. But just as Luo Yuan and others approached the wooden building, a sharp voice sounded from atop the building. Whiz! Then an iron arrow suddenly pierced through the rooftop. The sound of the iron arrow piercing through the air was crisp and ear-piercing, overshadowing the sound of other arrows being shot below. Thud! The iron arrow shot out in less than an instant. The crisp sound of the arrowhead piercing flesh echoed into everyone's ears below. Screech! The screech of the flying beast, barely 10 meters away from the rooftop, lost all its previous ferocity. instead filled with pain. It even carried a hint of fear and panic. Flab, flab. Its pupils contracted sharply as it looked at the main building. Just a moment later, it seemed to realize something and immediately flapped its wings frantically, hastily changing direction to flee. But unfortunately, it was too close. There was no more chance. Whoosh! A dark figure suddenly leaped high from the rooftop of the main building, instantly soaring more than 10 meters into the air, positioning itself above the flying beast. That person, dressed in form-fitting black attire, had a youthful face but incredibly sharp eyes, wielding a broad giant sword, slashing down at the flying beast's head from above. Whoosh! The giant sword descended, not with a sword edge, but with an overpowering, crushing momentum like that of thunder, so terrifying that the surrounding snowflakes were suspended, seemingly bringing a momentary standstill to the entire space above the wooden building. Bam! The flying beast, eager to turn its body, had its head struck, blood splattering, its massive body staggering in midair, almost crashing down. Screech! The cry of the flying beast no longer had any ferocity, only panic and terror. It frantically twisted its body, flapping its wings, and bolted towards the sky. Think you can escape so easily? Since everyone below had already stopped shooting arrows, the cold laughter of the young man in black was exceptionally clear to everyone's ears. As everyone looked closer, they realized that, as he swung the broad sword with his right hand, his left hand had already grasped the neck of the flying beast. With a shout, that person exerted his left hand, forcibly pulling the flapping flying beast back. Not only did he yank it back, but he also dragged the flying beast down from the sky together with him. Since the battleground was right above the main building, the man in black feared crashing onto the rooftop, so he adjusted the direction slightly, bringing the flying beast's body directly to the front of the main building. Bam, bam, bam. Upon landing, the man in black dropped the broadsword, grabbed the flying beast's legs with both hands, and began a frenzied assault. Without any fancy swordplay or needing to draw a bow and arrow like Luo Yuan and the others, the young man in black simply held onto the legs, smashing the massive body of the flying beast onto the ground repeatedly, left and right. Just how terrifying is this person's strength? Could that flying beast not fly just now? It wasn't just unable to fly, it couldn't even flap its wings. Is it already dead? Gulp. The 5,000-plus people, including the 4 families of Flying Tiger, just watched as the flying beast completely lost its life in the hands of the young man in black, without even letting out a single wail of agony. Chapter 439, Chapter 205, The Director Emerges, Treasure Presentation Opportunity 3. Leader, this must be the great Xia leader. Xiang Liang looked at the young man in black, his eyes full of admiration and reverence. So strong. A flying intermediate cold beast. So many people just now tried shooting arrows to no avail. But the young man in black took less than 5 minutes to resolve it. Is this the great Xia leader? So strong, unbelievably strong. However, the next second, what the people of Great Xia said made Xiang Liang's expression instantly freeze. The Lord Chief is mighty. Lord Yuan has also emerged, haha, impressive. Congratulations to the Lord Chief on breaking through. This person isn't even the leader. The director. Not even the minister. Gulp. Xiang Liang looked at the man in black, his eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. The man in black, namely Yuan Dao, seeing the flying creature had lost its breath, revealed a trace of excitement in his pupils, and after a long time he laid down the legs of the creature, looked back at the group congratulating him outside the main building, and smiled. Keep at it, you'll be there soon too. Looking at the 5,000 or 6,000 people in the middle of the front of the main building, and then at Su Ning and Lin Kai and the others, he immediately realized something and smiled. Well done, Su Ning, so many people at once, you deserve another big credit. Su Ning immediately stepped forward, chuckled and said, Thank you for your good words, sir. 5,000 or 6,000 people, over 100 earth-digging realm captives, just the contribution value is 200,000 or 300,000. I remember the squad stationed in Huayuan had only 12 teams. This time you've hit it big. The faces of Su Ning, Lin Kai, and the other 4 immediately showed even brighter smiles. Enough chatter, clean up the ground. Yuan Dao, Su Ning, Lin Kai, Lu Yang, come on up. At this moment, the clear voice from earlier sounded again from the 3rd floor. Below, Yuan Dao immediately stopped the small talk, bringing Lin Kai, Lu Yang, and Su Ning along, and walked up to the third floor. Xiang Liang stood in place, looking up at the third floor, his face full of curiosity. The owner of this clear voice must be in a position above this black-clad director Yuan Dao. Is it the minister they mentioned earlier, or the great Xia camp's leader? You two, come with me, bring the items. As Xiang Liang was pondering, someone beside him suddenly pulled him. He looked up to find Su Ning at the wooden building front pointing at him. Realizing that Su Ning was calling him up, Xiang Liang showed a trace of excitement, hurriedly clutching the wooden box in his hand, dashed out of the crowd and ran over. Who is this person? As Yuan Dao climbed the stairs with the four, nearing the third floor, he glanced at Xiang Liang following them and asked curiously. Su Ning promptly answered. His name is Xiang Liang, from one of the four families north of Huayuan Mountain. He holds something quite valuable, says he wants to present it to the leader. I've seen it. It's indeed a treasure, so I brought him to meet you first. To present to the leader. In Yuan Dao's eyes, a trace of oddity flashed, but he nodded without saying much. Behind them, Xiang Liang, realizing that he might soon meet the great Xia leader, felt his emotions surge with excitement. Of course, he didn't forget to cast a grateful look at Su Ning. To be given the chance to present the treasure personally, Su Ning's favor was not small. With his head low, Xiang Liang respectfully followed the four up the wooden stairs to the third floor, arriving directly at the porch. Walking along it for a while, he reached a grand vermilion door. The door was open, and with his head bowed, Xiang Liang could only see the elegant wooden floor carved with beast patterns. Realizing there were important figures inside, he didn't dare to raise his head. Wait here for a moment, you'll be called in shortly. Yes, sir. Xiang Liang replied respectfully. Only after Su Ning and the others went inside did he dare to slightly raise his head, curiously peeking inside the vermilion door. At a glance, the worldview he once held instantly crumbled. A solemn and majestic grand hall appeared before him, with a splendid grand ceiling, various vivid statues of cold beasts, 8 imposing golden pillars, dozens of pure iron beast-shaped braziers, and that central 3-legged giant cauldron. Everything in this immersive view greatly impacted Xiang Liang's spirit, leaving him somewhat dazed, and his inner humility soared to the extreme. He couldn't clearly see the scenes at the back of the grand hall, only that 5 figures were conversing over there, and he couldn't make out any voices. He just clutched the wooden box, waiting nervously. You can come in now. Finally, half an hour later, Su Ning's call came from inside the grand hall. Xiang Liang's body quivered slightly, tidying his messy beast skin clothing first, then stepped over the threshold with a tense expression, entering the grand hall. This is my only chance, I must seize it. Looking at the wooden box in his hands, Xiang Liang took a deep breath and continued walking in. Chapter 440, Chapter 206, Please, Cold Element Festival, the leader emerges. Tab, tab, tab. Xiang Liang stepped into the silent hall, hearing only the echo of his own footsteps. This solemn and majestic atmosphere undeniably made him more and more nervous. Circumventing the 3-legged round tripod, he finally saw the 5 people at the rear of the hall. Indeed, it's just as expected. Su Ning, Lin Kai, and Lu Yang stood at the bottom. Yuan Dao, who had just displayed great power outside and killed the bird, stood before them. And ahead of these 4 stood a young man in black, with a gentle face, facing the entrance and staring at him with a smile in his eyes. Although this young man's clothes were also black, they differed from Yuan Dao's close-fitting attire. His were slightly loose, with long and wide sleeves, tied at the waist with a cinnabar ribbon, complemented by a beast bone-carved crown resembling white jade, making him seem more elegant and composed. Xiang Liang from Hefeng Camp pays respect to Minister. Seeing the luxurious and exquisite golden chair on the high platform behind the 5 people, Xiang Liang immediately guessed the identity of the man in black without thinking and directly knelt before him, bowing respectfully. You have some discernment. Stand up and show me the cold marrow iron. Seeing the surprise on Su Ning and the others' faces, Xia Chuan immediately understood that Xiang Liang had purely guessed his identity by observation and praised him with a smile. Xiang Liang promptly opened the wooden box and handed it over. Su Ning immediately took the wooden box and passed it to Xia Chuan. Xia Chuan took the wooden box and carefully examined the cold marrow iron inside. Lin Kai, realizing something, quickly ran out and soon returned from outside the hall with 2 wooden basins, one large and one small. The large wooden basin had a diameter of over half a meter, filled with crimson-green liquid, evidently low-level beast blood. The small wooden basin was only about 20 centimeters in diameter, filled with scarlet liquid. Recalling seeing the bird's blood outside earlier when Yuan Dao killed it, Xia Hong immediately understood that this scarlet liquid should be that of an intermediate cold beast. Xia Chuan snapped out of his inspection, picked up the 5 pieces of cold marrow iron, and threw them all into the large wooden basin first. Sizzle! The beast blood in the basin boiled immediately and quickly diminished at a visible speed, taking just under 10 minutes for the blood in the basin to reduce by more than half. Xia Chuan's eyes instantly lit up, as did Yuan Dao's. Even Su Ning and the others who had seen this once before were no exception. The beast blood they used in previous tests was nowhere near this much. After waiting a while, the blood in the basin disappeared completely. As Xia Chuan and the others approached to look, all 5 were slightly taken aback. The cold marrow iron, originally the size of a fist, had grown significantly. Xia Chuan picked up one piece and weighed it slightly, then squeezed it forcefully. Seeing no deformation on the cold marrow iron, his brow furrowed slightly. The volume changed, but the weight and hardness haven't altered. Minister, I recall this cold marrow iron was this large when first unearthed. It's just that we've ground it down quite a bit, and we've constantly nurtured it with beast blood but never managed to restore it to its original state. After watching for a long time, Xiang Liang gathered up the courage to speak. Upon hearing his words, Xia Chuan immediately understood. Su Ning had already mentioned that Hefeng Camp would mix the ground powder of cold marrow iron in weapon forging, presumably due to limited hunting ability and insufficient beast blood, preventing restoration. After contemplating for a moment, Xia Chuan picked up a piece and placed it into another small wooden basin. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Including Xiang Liang, all 6 present immediately changed their expressions. The cold marrow iron's reaction to the scarlet beast blood was even more intense than before, taking merely 3 breaths to absorb a small basin of intermediate beast blood completely. Furthermore, the cold marrow iron evidently generated intense heat, burning through the bottom of the wooden basin and even producing a flicker of flame. The higher the beast blood's level, the stronger the cold marrow iron's reaction. If so, these 5 pieces are indeed quite extraordinary. Yuan Dao's words made Su Ning and the others' eyes immediately light up. The higher the beast blood's level, the stronger its effect. Thus, weapons forged by cold marrow iron must be effective against cold beasts. Picture this: if it penetrates a cold beast's body, it could instantly drain all the blood within. Xia Chuan watched the originally crimson-green cold marrow iron in the wooden basin, gradually turning red after absorbing the intermediate beast blood, with excitement rising on his face. An excellent item you're called, Xiang Liang, correct? Upon hearing Xia Chuan's slightly joyful tone, Xiang Liang's mood also heightened with excitement, nodding quickly to answer, I am called Xiang Liang. Whatever you want, feel free to say it. In exchange for these 5 pieces of cold marrow iron, I will try to fulfill your wishes as much as possible. Xiang Liang's face brimmed with joy, quickly bowing to plea on behalf of Hefeng Camp. And after listening to Xiang Liang's account, Xia Chuan turned to Su Ning for confirmation, conversed for a while, and learned of the prior events between Yuan and the 4 camps, his eyebrows slightly furrowing. Grant amnesty to everyone in Hefeng Camp, you dare to think. Xia Chuan murmured softly, glancing at Su Ning, his brow slightly knitted. According to the existing camp regulations, the 29 earth-digging realm individuals from Hefeng Camp belong to Su Ning's Black Arrow team, and this pertains to the interests of Su Ning's team, thus cannot be forgiven lightly. Chapter 441, Chapter 206, Please Cold Element Festival, The Leader Emerges Part 2. Lu Yang, according to the Camp Supply Department's regulations, how should the more than 5,000 people from the Yuan Mountain North's 4 camps be handled this time? Lu Yang, who was affiliated with the Camp Supply Department, naturally knew these matters well and answered without hesitation. Flying Tiger, Yang Ping, Moon Sound and River Edge from the earth-digging realm have 124 captives, and from the logging realm there are 182 captives, totaling 306 criminals who have acted against us. Chief Criminal Wang Lai is obstinate and refuses to heed advice. According to regulations, he should be sentenced to 3 years of labor. His 33 earth-digging realm subordinates, whose cases are slightly more severe, should be sentenced to 1.5 years of labor. The 182 logging realm people, all from the Flying Tiger camp, should be sentenced to 1 year of labor according to regulations. As for the other 3 leaders, He Feng, Liu Qing, and Xiang Ping, they are considered accomplices and according to regulations should be sentenced to 2 years of labor, with a total of 87 earth-digging realm subordinates under them, should be sentenced to 1.5 years of labor according to regulations. Additionally, the direct relatives of these criminals, totaling 572 people not overlapping, will also be sentenced to half a year of labor, which will be added onto their heads. The captives' rule has been implemented for over 2 months, and naturally, many details have been supplemented and completed. In taking action against the Great Xia people, the captives' rule applies, but for those who did not act, it doesn't apply, which is considered a relatively humane clause in this rule. Almost all the ordinary people in the camps have no say in the matter of dealing with Great Xia. Whether they act or not is dictated by the leader, so naturally, Great Xia will not pursue their faults. But it's different for the direct relatives of these criminals. Since they have received sustenance from these criminals on ordinary days, when things go awry, they naturally also get implicated, thus they are collectively sentenced to half a year of labor. Of course, very few of these people have earth-digging realm strength, so the labor will all be added to the head of the criminal themselves. This counts as a restrictive clause, mainly targeting those criminals who have entered the mines and still refuse to honestly mine and serve. The father is an accomplice with 2 years of labor, plus the mother, brother, and sister each having half a year, adding up to a total of 3.5 years of labor. Upon hearing this sentence, Xiang Liang, kneeling on the ground, immediately became tense. His father Xiang Ping is already 39 years old. Given the average lifespan of over 40 in the Ice Abyss world, he doesn't have many years left to live, and whether he can walk out of the mines alive after serving 3.5 years of labor is still uncertain. He wanted to plead for his family, but the solemn and majestic hall was pressing him immensely. Coupled with the silence of Yuan Dao and the others, he dared not speak. Thinking it over, he could only bow low and lightly tap his head on the floor. Bang! Xia Chuan was interrupted by the sound and slowly looked down at Xiang Liang, then spoke. It's certainly impossible to pardon everyone from your camp, but considering your meritorious contribution, I will exempt your family of 4 from labor. Xiang Liang's expression initially froze, then he knocked his head repeatedly, saying excitedly, I thank the Lord on behalf of my father and family for your grace. Xia Chuan smiled and nodded, just about to speak. Dong! A large drum sound suddenly echoed through the valley skies. The drum sound resonated with earth-shaking might, causing not just the wooden building, but the entire valley to seem to tremble along. Kneeling on the ground, Xiang Liang staggered, almost falling, feeling his heartbeat resonate with the drum sound, momentarily fearing an attack from a terrifying cold beast, and was utterly shocked. However, upon looking up, he saw Xia Chuan and the others appearing extremely relaxed. Not only relaxed, but the 5 even showed some smiles. Is the time up? Ha, it should be. Yue Feng's side has begun. The first Cold Element Festival, it must be impressive. As their conversation ended, the drum sound rang again. Dongs, 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 dong. The interval between each drum beat was very long, approximately 3 breaths, and Xiang Liang felt his heart beating in time with the drum, a solemn sacred feeling surging from his heart, making him inexplicably excited. Dongs, 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 dong. After a total of 9 earth-shaking drum beats, they finally concluded. The entire valley also became silent and tranquil. The main building that originally had some noise became instantly quiet. The entire Great Xia Valley was quietly silent, with only the faint sound of snowflakes fluttering across the sky becoming exceptionally clear now. If Xiang Liang could step out of the hall, he would find that all the people in the main building had already stepped out, and everyone from Great Xia in the valley had also come out of the wooden houses, standing on the 3 main roads, all eyes turned towards the main building, faces bearing a touch of sacredness and anticipation. The Great Xia's second Cold Element Festival, the leader's decree. A large voice sounded from above the valley. People will arrive soon, you should leave now. Kneeling Xiang Liang heard Su Ning's words, hurriedly thanked them and got up, listening to the voice above while walking towards the hall doors. Before he reached the hall doors, a strong fragrance wafted from outside. Soon, a large wave of people began to enter, carrying tables and chairs, and those pieces held foods and fruits he had never seen before, with each holding a wooden jug of unknown contents. Xiang Liang, intoxicated by the aroma, widened his eyes, slowing his walking speed, nearly blocking others. On New Year's at the auspicious time, the new day begins, close the city gates, light the valley lights, the feast begins, all under decree, celebrating worldwide. Chapter 442, Chapter 206, Please Cold Element Festival, The Leader Emerges Part 3. Just as Xiang Liang stepped out of the main hall, the voice from above also came to an end. Outside the main hall door, it was precisely the west corridor on the top floor of the main building. Xiang Liang looked up and witnessed a scene he would never forget in his lifetime. Bang! A drum beat sounded, followed by the rising sound of countless flames. Boom, boom, boom. On the rooftops of thousands of houses within sight, bonfires simultaneously ignited. On the stone walls on both sides of the valley, thousands of bonfires also lit up simultaneously. On top of the main building where Xiang Liang stood, a fierce flame rose, soaring 20 to 30 meters high. The entire Great Xia Valley instantly became warm as a tide, bright as daylight. At the beginning of the new year, peace and harmony of cold element. At the beginning of the new year, peace and harmony of cold element. Ha ha ha, it's the second year of Great Xia, set the tables, set the tables. No need to leave home for 15 days, it's time for a good rest. At the beginning of the new year, peace and harmony of cold element. Quickly set the tables, let's eat, let's eat. The people on the three main streets, after exchanging New Year greetings, quickly filled the entire street with round tables, and the bustling crowd nearby sat down. The 5,000 to 6,000 people originally in front of the wooden building were now taken elsewhere, replaced by round tables filled with Great Xia people. At the beginning of the new year, peace and harmony of cold element. Those seated at the tables all wore smiles as they congratulated and greeted each other. Dishes of cold beast meat, various fruits, and many foods Xiang Liang had never seen before were served on the tables. The entire valley was instantly filled with delicious aromas and echoed with booming laughter. Xiang Liang was already too overwhelmed to care why Great Xia dared to illuminate the valley to this extent on such a night. The endless supply of beast meat and various delicacies on the tables below was enough to make him breathless and expressionless. How could Great Xia be so affluent? Their food, could it have fallen from the sky? At the beginning of the new year, peace and harmony of cold element. Looking at the dreamlike spectacle of the valley before him, Xiang Liang murmured the 8 words, and an inexplicable emotion suddenly arose from within him, his eyes filled with an indescribable heat and anticipation. Who was standing there? Suddenly, a rough voice came from the side. Xiang Liang hurriedly turned his head and saw 3 people had come up from downstairs at some point, with the speaker being the tallest and burliest among them. As the 3 approached, Xiang Liang saw the clothing they wore, shimmering like Yuan Dao's, and he became instantly nervous. I'm asking you, don't you know that you can't randomly come up to the 3rd floor? The burly young man in the middle, seeing Xiang Liang remain silent for some time, came a few steps closer and emanated a bit of aura. This aura was even stronger than Su Ning's. Xiang Liang quickly bowed his head, ready to answer. But before he could speak, another person in the group of 3 spoke up. He's someone Su Ning brought back from Huayuan, about to present treasures to the leader, probably just came out of the main hall. Presenting treasures to the leader. Hearing Qiu Peng's words, Yuan Cheng showed a strange expression. In his view, the 4 camps in Huayuan Mountain North were pathetically weak. What kind of treasures could such camps have? Presenting to the leader, it's even more laughable. If you have nothing to do, don't linger on the 3rd floor, go down. Yes, sir. Upon hearing Yuan Cheng's words, Xiang Liang quickly turned and walked down the stairs. However, at this moment, a group of people were coming up the staircase in droves. Xiang Liang quickly stepped aside near the stairway, bowing his head as he waited for them to come up. Hey, why is there a young man here? Seems like he's not from our camp. Probably here to present treasures, brought over by Su Ning from Huayuan. Oh, I see, Su Ning's really in the limelight this time. Over 5,000 people, more than 100 earth-digging realm captives, the Black Arrow team probably won't need to enter the mines for years. Once the cold element festival is over, I have to find him to buy a few. When everyone had passed, Xiang Liang slowly raised his head, his eyes full of astonishment. Over 100 people. Even though he didn't sense the aura from these people, based on the content of their conversation, Xiang Liang could generally determine that their status was likely on par with Su Ning's strength parallel status, as is the case in any camp. That means the nearly 100 people who just came up, even if not all were stronger than Su Ning, wouldn't have significantly lower strength. Gulp. Xiang Liang swallowed hard and quickly descended the stairs. Coincidentally, just then, the ceremonial voice rang again. On this inaugural Cold Element Festival, the leader decrees that all penal labor shall be pardoned for 3 months to demonstrate the benevolence of Great Xia. Exemption from penal labor for 3 months. Just having stepped down from the main building, Xiang Liang froze for a moment. A look of ecstasy appeared on his face. Though his family of 4 had been exempted from labor, the other earth-digging realm in Hefeng camp had not, and had to serve 1.5 years of labor. A 3-month reduction was a sixth of that, which was substantial. Long live the leader, long live Great Xia. Long live the leader, long live Great Xia. Long live the leader, long live Great Xia. Outside the main building, the crowd roared in cycle after cycle. Long live the leader, long live Great Xia. Xiang Liang was involuntarily infected by the emotion. Raising his head to look at the top of the main building, he clenched his fist and joined in the shout. Just as Yue Feng announced the final pardon decree. Within the main hall at the top floor, Xia Chuan and others already seated first paused in unison, then all turned their heads toward the back of the hall, joy on their faces. Elder brother has emerged from seclusion. The leader has come out. Almost 4 months finally out. Chapter 443. Chapter 207. Reforming Corvée Labor, Changes in the First Year. Happy New Year. On the southern side of the Great Xia Valley, there is a giant 3-story wooden building. The wooden building has sides of more than 100 meters, built against the stone cliff on the southern side of the valley. Your father and everyone who came from Huayuan have been housed in this wooden building. The entrance to the mine is just south of the wooden building. You should be staying here for a long time now. A young man in a black beast skin cloak, with plain looks, led Xiang Liang to the door of the wooden building and smiled as he explained to him. Thank you for showing me the way, sir. I am deeply grateful. No need to be polite. I happen to have business to attend to here, so it was on the way. Upon hearing his thanks, the young man slightly waved his hand with a smile to indicate no need for courtesy, then led the way inside the wooden building. Xiang Liang looked at the young man, feeling grateful in his heart. As soon as he left the wooden building, he found that his father and others were all missing. He started searching all over the valley, but the houses in the Great Xia Valley were simply too many. There were at least thousands inside and out, and he couldn't find them. He mustered the courage to ask others, but everyone in the valley was celebrating the Cold Element Festival, eating, drinking, and making merry. Few were willing to pay attention to him. At best, they would just point out the way, and he searched for half a day without finding the right place. At that moment, this young man appeared. Upon learning that he was searching for people from Huayuan, he not only pointed out the way but also kindly brought him over. The young man in front of him appeared to be in his early 20s at most. He was wearing only a beast skin cloak and carried no weapons, indicating that his status in Great Xia might not be very high. From the moment he entered the Great Xia Valley, Xiang Liang had been experiencing wave after wave of shock. Just now, he went to the grand hall on the 3rd floor and saw so many prominent figures. Suddenly encountering someone with a relatively lower status, who was also so kind and less imposing toward him, naturally made him feel much closer. Brother, how long have you been in Great Xia? Were you captured and brought here like us? Xiang Liang observed that most Great Xia people wore clothes made of beast fur and cotton, not only warm and lightweight but also aesthetically pleasing, clearly superior to the beast skin cloak, leading him to surmise that this person might have joined Great Xia later. The young man smiled and said, Indeed, I joined later. I also served a year of labor servitude before becoming a formal member of Great Xia. Most of the people you came with from Huayuan should be similar to me, right? Upon hearing the young man say he also did a year of servitude, Xiang Liang immediately felt a sense of shared plight and said with a slightly somber tone, Our Hefeng camp, except for my father Xiang Ping, The other 28 Earth-digging realm have all been sentenced to a year and a half of servitude. Their 122 family members have also been sentenced to 6 months of servitude. Since the family members mostly do not have Earth-digging realm cultivation, the servitude must be added to the 28 Earth-digging realm. This means they essentially must serve about 4 years of servitude. Family members averaged over 28 people. Each has to bear 4 to 5 extra terms of 6-month servitude, plus their own year and a half. It indeed amounts to roughly 4 years. The young man nodded, looking at Xia Hong with keen interest, and asked, "Your father wasn't sentenced to servitude. Why is that?" Xia Hong revealed a hint of relief in his expression and replied, "It's thanks to a treasure we have at Hefeng camp. I offered it to the leader, the minister, which spared my parents and younger sister and brother from servitude." A treasure? The young man slightly turned his head to glance in the direction of the main building, then immediately looked back with a smile and watched Xia Hong for a while before saying, "You're worried about the other 28 Earth-digging realm at Hefeng camp, right?" This brother's insight is exceptionally sharp. Xia Hong marveled inwardly, then bitterly said, "The people from our camp in the Earth-digging realm are mostly quite old now. The oldest is nearly 40, and the youngest is about 30. 4 years of servitude are indeed too long for them. The average lifespan in the ice abyss world is only about 40 years, and Earth-digging realm hasn't surpassed this range. For the people at Hefeng camp at their age, 4 years of servitude is indeed too long. I have already inquired. The coal and iron collected during the servitude have no fixed standard quantity, meaning 4 years is the standard 4 years. The key is that these 4 years of servitude can only be served by the direct relatives of the convicts, not others so." Seeing the young man pondering with lowered brows, Xia Hong feared he had displeased him, and dared not speak further. The young man looked up with a smile and said, "It's fine. I had many opinions during my servitude too. Go ahead and speak your mind." Only then did Xia Hong relax and continued, "It is too inhumane. 4 years of time amount to about a tenth of a human ice abyss lifetime. It is indeed somewhat inhumane. If the servitude could be standardized, like setting targets for how much coal and iron must be mined each year to meet standards, and lifting the restrictions on others serving the labor, it would greatly reduce the burden on these people. The final output of the servitude would remain unchanged, and things would be much better." Xia Hong sighed lightly after finishing, knowing that while this suggestion is undoubtedly good, he is uncertain whether Great Xia imposes servitude on these people for resources or as punishment. Most crucially, he has little influence, and even if he voiced out, no one would listen. Or to put it more plainly, he doesn't even have the opportunity to say it. Xia Hong failed to notice that, after hearing his last remarks, the young man's eyes lit up while looking at him. Chapter 444, Chapter 207, Improving Corvée, Changes in the First Year. Happy New Year. With the abundant resources of Great Xia, breaking through to the Earth-digging realm shouldn't be too difficult for us. If we can fully utilize as I suggested, these servitudes will be completed in no time. We can become official members of Great Xia sooner, and ultimately contribute to Great Xia, can't we? Remembering the pile of beast meat on the table, and the field behind the valley filled with white beast bones, Xia Hong felt a stirring in his heart. In reality, after witnessing the grand scene of Great Xia, Xia Hong harbored no more resistance to coming to Great Xia, and he believed that those over 5,000 people, including the main offender Wang Lai, felt the same as he did. The living standards of the 4 camps of Northern Mountain are nearly identical. Even someone as fierce as Wang Lai harbors a strong aspiration for a better life. If only they could enjoy a life like that in Great Xia every day. Who would still want to go to the bitter days in Northern Mountain? Yet the servitude imposed on them is truly too burdensome to bear. The earth-digging realm of the 4 camps in Northern Mountain generally consists of older individuals who aren't sure they can complete such lengthy servitude, and even with luck, there won't be many good years left after completing the servitude. This truly seems unfair to them. Luckily, the leader was kind enough to waive our servitude for 3 months, which is already quite good for all of us together. We shouldn't demand too much. After all, it was our fault to begin with. Recalling the last decree announced by the person just now, a bit of comfort appeared on Xia Hong's face. Waiving 3 months of servitude for an individual, including family members, means each person would serve over a year less. The young man looked at Xia Hong and laughed. I saw you just came down from the grand hall. Since you have such a good idea, why didn't you tell those people in the hall? Xiang Liang gave a wry smile and said, in the grand hall just now, I didn't even dare to breathe, let alone speak up. Hearing this, the young man shook his head with a light laugh and was about to speak when Xiang Liang found his father, Xiang Ping, and others inside the wooden building. Big brother, thanks to you today, may I ask? Xiang Liang wanted to ask for the young man's name, but when he turned around, he found that the person had vanished, leaving him puzzled. Liang, come quickly. There are many here who, like us, just arrived recently. We've learned a lot about Great Xia. Seeing Xiang Ping and a group of people in the earth-digging realm, with expressions of excitement, although Xiang Liang was still wondering where the mysterious young man had gone, he walked towards his father to find out why they were so excited. Meanwhile, the mysterious young man who puzzled him was already standing on the highest floor of the wooden building, overlooking the thousands below, glancing at the mine to the south of the wooden building, and finally resting his eyes on Xiang Liang, smiling thoughtfully. This kid is quite clever. The servitude does need some adjustments. The iron mine in this valley is nearing depletion, and these people serving rights will soon be dispersed to other iron mines. If the resistance is too great, management costs will soar, ultimately outweighing the benefits. I have to discuss this with Xia Chuan. Oh yeah? Unlike the joyful and bustling atmosphere of tens of thousands in Great Xia Valley. At this moment, the main hall on the top floor of the main building was silent. There was no one seated on the chairs along both sides of the hall. Over 100 people were lined up in the center of the hall, standing solemnly, eyes fixed on the high platform, with a deep sense of anticipation on their faces. So, are you all waiting for me to start the feast? Suddenly, a voice sounded from the high platform. Everyone's face below instantly lit up with smiles. However, as a figure appeared on the high platform, their expressions simultaneously froze. A young man in a black beast skin cloak, with ordinary looks, suddenly walked out from behind the high platform. He even plopped himself down on the golden chair. Everyone's faces instinctively showed anger, but realizing something, they carefully examined the young man on the high platform, filled with suspicion and speculation, yet not daring to confirm. Hadiyahata. Seeing everyone unable to confirm, the young man in black suddenly burst into laughter, then fiddled with his face and promptly pulled off a pale red mask. Underneath the mask, who else but their leader Xia Hong could it be? Ha, this mask made of red wood is quite effective, none of you could tell. The over 100 people below, upon seeing Xia Hong's true face, first showed smiles, then all bowed deeply towards the high platform and said, "Welcome back, leader." As they voiced the 6 words, "Welcome back, leader," they deliberately raised their voices, causing not only the hall but the entire wooden building and even the valley outside to fall silent momentarily. The tens of thousands along the 3 main roads of the valley also instantly quieted down, turned their heads towards the top floor of the main building, realizing Xia Hong had returned, and they all stood up from their seats, bowing respectfully towards the main building. "Welcome back, leader." Listening to the voices reverberating inside and outside the valley, which lingered for a long time, the smile in Xia Hong's eyes grew richer. With qi gathered in his throat, he spoke in a solemn tone to the people below and the thousands outside the valley. At the start of the new year, with cold and robust health, the first year of Great Xia has turned a page. May our Great Xia camp expand and flourish in the coming year, and may all of you reach even greater heights in cultivation and lead more prosperous lives. Tonight, let us not leave sober. Everyone cheers. Chapter 445. Chapter 207. Improving corvée labor and changes in the first year. Inside the main hall, more than 100 people, and tens of thousands in the valley, at this moment all raised their cups, loudly shouting towards the main building. 10,000 years for the leader, 10,000 years for Great Xia. 10,000 years for the leader, 10,000 years for Great Xia. 10,000 years for the leader, 10,000 years for Great Xia. 9 consecutive enthusiastic and synchronized shouts resonated through the heavens, shaking the 9 skies, not only dispelling the overwhelming snowflakes above the valley, but also signaling that the new chapter of the second year of Great Xia has slowly begun. Inside the main hall of the main building, Xia Hong put down his wine cup and leaned back in his chair, smiling as he spoke. "I've been in seclusion for more than 4 months. What is the current situation of the camp?" Xia Chuan and the directors of the 6 ministries, stand up and talk. The rest may sit and listen to me, and take this opportunity to understand well what position our great Xia currently holds. More than 100 people in the main hall immediately sat down upon hearing this. Everyone's eyes gathered on Xia Chuan and the other 6 people in the center. Let me begin then. After a brief thought, Xia Chuan was the first to bow and speak. Report to the leader. As of this moment, our great Xia camp has a total population of 30,129. Excluding the leader, there are 2 individuals of cold resistance level. Those currently breaking through to cold resistance level include Luo Yuan, Han Guang, Yuan Cheng, Hang Tian, Mengyi, Zhu Yuan, 6 in total. Above the earth-digging realm limit beginning to use beast blood, there are 63 people. 2,192 people are at the earth-digging realm. 11,924 people are at the logging realm, and almost every day someone breaks through. SSSSS. Over 2,000 earth-digging realm. 12,000 at logging realm. How can there be so many? 6 people breaking through to cold resistance level. If they break through together, wouldn't our great Xia suddenly have 8? No, 9 cold resistance levels. SSSSS. Someone took a sharp breath, and in the hall, astonished voices immediately started rising one after another. Everyone looked at Xia Chuan in the center, their faces full of excitement. Setting aside the cold resistance levels for now, over 2,000 earth-digging realm. What does this mean? This is equivalent to 7 times the original mirror immortal camp. In these 4 months, hasn't the progress been astounding? Xia Chuan in the center of the hall held a smile as he waited for the reactions to calm down, then continued. Additionally, the 6 departments were reformed 3 months ago, primarily involving 3 items. First, the gathering and logging departments were merged into the harvesting department. Second, reclamation was changed to garrison department, responsible not only for reclamation but also for all other points within the territory of Great Xia. Currently, 2 points in Jing Valley and Huayuan have been established, each with 12 hunting teams deployed. Yue Feng is appointed Guardian of Valley at Jing Valley, Su Ning as Guardian of Valley at Huayuan. Third, added Civil Affairs Department, responsible for managing all household registrations in Great Xia, along with clothing, food, shelter, and transportation, overseeing all matters of public welfare. Currently, the camp has 6 departments: hunting, camp supply, harvesting, craftsmen, garrison, civil affairs. Next, it will be up to the directors of the 6 departments to speak themselves. After Xia Chuan finished, he gestured to Yuan Dao. Yuan Dao nodded, stepped forward and bowed slightly. From the 2,192 people in the camp, 2,012 have all been registered in the hunting department. As of now, our department under the hunting teams totals 83, with 16 intermediate teams, and the remaining 67 are low-level teams. All teams are operating in good condition with not much in terms of casualties. The prior 4 months, hunting targets and coal iron submission targets are all normal, and the camp supply department should have records. I won't say much more. Upon hearing this, Camp Supply Department Director Qiu Peng acknowledged and stood out directly. Personnel changes in hunting and harvesting departments are substantial. The various resources submitted every month have been gradually increasing. There's currently no average number. I'll roughly report the total amount of resources from last month. At this, he was unafraid of being laughed at by those around him, took a booklet from his embrace, chuckled, and continued speaking. In December, the camp supply department's total income from the hunting department: beast blood 10,220 jin, beast meat 2.1 million jin, intermediate beast bones 280,000 jin, beast skin totaling 1,621 pieces, iron ore 7.1 million jin, coal stone 1.42 million jin. The figures reported by Qiu Peng immediately elicited astonished exclamations from more than 100 present. Although these items were handed up by them, they only had a partial understanding of the total amount. Such large numbers heard directly. Naturally, they were greatly amazed. However, Xia Hong at the top had a much calmer reaction than they did. Of course, this is just the income from the hunting department. The amount of resources submitted by the craftsmen and harvesting departments is also substantial. Next, I'll mention a few important items for everyone to hear. After the astonishment gradually subsided, Qiu Peng flipped a few pages, smiled, and continued. Currently, our department stores 12,152 refined weapons, with the majority being the 4-type Xia blade, comprising half of the total. The rest includes swords, spears, sticks, axes among 13 types. There are 6,232 refined iron core bows in total, including 10 for 100 stone bows, 100 for 50 stone bows, 300 for 20 stone bows, 5,000 for 10 stone bows, the remainder being 5 stone bows. Under the current situation, there's little need to manufacture more bows for a long time. Currently stored are 420 gin of salt, 2,521 bottles of various Dan medicine, 820 gin of aged wine, 35 gin of blood cold wine, 90 meters of silk, 1,220 meters of cotton fabric, 29 gin of paper, red wood, crystal fruit, and more. The function of the camp's supply department is to manage all materials within the camp, from basic raw materials to crafted finished products produced by the craftsman department. All are under its control, so the resources reported by Qiu Peng are not only vast in number, but also varied. From the various materials obtained from the cold beast, to weapons and tools, to medicine and salt, and various fruits and bamboo silk crafted finished materials, nearly everything imaginable is covered, except for some rare materials. Most of the material reserves are extremely ample. Chapter 446, Chapter 207, Improving Corvée Labor and Changes in Year 1. Happy New Year. This undoubtedly also indirectly reflects the current abundance of resources in Great Xia. After the camp's supply department finished speaking, it was the turn of the harvesting department. Cheng Feng stepped out. After the merger of the gathering and logging departments, he took on the role of director, while Bai Dongying became the deputy director. The camp's 11,524 logging realm individuals have all registered with our department. However, our current primary task is no longer timber, but rather the fruits and various medicinal plant species across all regions within Great Xia territory. As of now, the harvesting department has identified and recorded a total of 78 species, including 19 types of trees, 34 types of medicinal herbs, 14 types of fruits, and 11 other resources of unknown purpose for the time being. Once the growth cycles of medicinal herbs and fruits are understood, we organize regular harvesting. Trees with special uses are also reported to the craftsman workshop, and we make specialized felling as necessary, with some stockpiles also accumulated for each type. Next came Mu Dong's craftsman department. Our department currently has 580 registered craftsmen, with 180 craftsmen at the earth-digging realm and 400 at the logging realm, overseeing 4 workshops: Forge, Alchemy Workshop, Xia Clothing Workshop, and Woodworking Workshop. The Forge can currently craft weapons, covering the 4 types of Xia blades, totaling 17 types, 39 types of iron tools, and 120 types of iron products. The Alchemy Workshop can produce 18 types of Dan medicine. The Xia Clothing Workshop has 7 major categories of clothing styles, with 21 types of small items. The Woodworking Workshop offers 42 types of furniture and 210 types of wooden products. After Mu Dong finished speaking, he stepped back, and Yuan Cheng stepped forward. After the Pioneer Department was transformed into the Garrison Department, considering Xi Ping's relatively weaker strength, he was appointed as the Deputy Director, with Yuan Cheng taking over as Director. The Garrison Department currently oversees only 2 station points, Jing Valley and Huayuan. Last year's achievements at these 2 points are well known to everyone, so I won't say much. In the new year, I hope that the leader and minister can lead us to continue expanding our territories and establish more station points, so that having only 2 at present doesn't seem too unremarkable. Ha, Director Yuan thinks he has too few people under him. Ha, old Yuan, you have quite the ambition. To expand territories, Yuan Cheng, you need to take the lead yourself. Oh yeah? As Yuan Cheng finished speaking, everyone in the hall laughed and joked humorously. On the high platform, Xia Hong couldn't help but smile and chuckle softly. All right, you may step down. Zhu Yuan, you continue. The last to speak was Zhu Yuan, the director of the Civil Affairs Department. Zhu Yuan stepped forward and said, "The Civil Affairs Department currently records a total population of 6,621. In the past 4 months, there have been 800 new households, aside from 241 newly married couples. The remaining 551 households are those who later joined the camp. Within the valley, out of the 4,200 plots of land, a small portion has been sold, with residences already constructed. The remaining over 2,000 plots are expected to be sold within the next 6 months, and by then, it seems we'll have to find a way to open up new lands. After the directors of the hunting, camp supply, harvesting, craftsmen, garrison, and civil affairs departments all spoke, the atmosphere in the hall became lively. Have we accomplished so much in a year? I hadn't even noticed there are over 2,000 houses in the valley. The camp supply department has so much stuff. Every time I go, I only stand at the entrance. Next time I must go inside and take a look. I'm guessing they're running out of space. Are there really that many types of weapons? Besides the 4 types of Xia blades, I've only seen 4 or 5 different types. There are over 200 types of wooden products, and I haven't seen many of them. Haha, don't you have kids at home? My kid at home is always eyeing the wooden products in the craftsman workshop, and there are many little things he keeps asking for, which gives me a headache when I go back. There are so many types of clothes too. No wonder my wife is always wanting to buy new clothes. Oh yeah? This is a classic example of being too close to the situation to see clearly. Among the more than 100 people in the hall, at the very least, they are captains of hunting teams, currently some of the highest-ranking individuals in Great Xia. Yet even they only have a partial understanding of the overall situation in Great Xia. If not for today's gathering where Xia Hong assembled Xia Chuan and the directors of the 6 departments to describe things overall, they likely would never have fully grasped the extent of development that Great Xia has unknowingly reached. Everyone in the hall wore a hint of pride on their faces, and a feeling of unprecedented satisfaction and delight arose in their hearts. After all, their efforts contributed to these achievements. Everyone, you have all worked hard this past year. Xia Hong's voice made the expressions of more than 100 people below immediately become restrained. Leader, we haven't worked as hard as you. Indeed, if it weren't for the leader hunting so many cold beasts previously, we wouldn't be where we are today. Among everyone in the camp, the leader has worked the hardest. 4 months ago, the leader hunted so many intermediate cold beasts for us to benefit from. With the freely shared beast blood, how could we have the face to talk about hard work? Leader, don't say that. Hearing the sincere rebuttals from those below, a warm feeling flowed through Xia Hong's heart. He didn't say much more, simply raised his wine cup with a smile and said, "All right, you've worked hard and I've worked hard, so let's down this cup together. May our great Xia reach new heights next year." More than 100 people below raised their wine cups and immediately stood up. Long live the leader, long live Great Xia. Well, may everyone here and Great Xia enjoy eternal prosperity. Xia Hong laughed heartily, leading over 100 people to drink down the fine wine in their cups in one go. The hall began to resonate with toasts and exchanges, and Xia Hong, as the leader, naturally couldn't escape the host of people taking turns to toast him. For the first Cold Element Festival, to mark the occasion, the camp supply department brought out more than half of their aged wine storage, and almost everyone present at the hall received a pound of free aged wine. Xia Hong, as the leader, enjoyed a bit of special treatment, with 2 jugs of aged wine and 1 jug of blood-cold wine placed on his table. As the atmosphere in the hall gradually reached its peak, Xia Hong took advantage of a moment when no one was toasting to quietly open his system page. Camp Great Xia Level 0. Lord Xia Hong. Cultivation, Cold Resistance Level. Population of territory, 30,129. Resources, 2.3 million wood, 3.24 million coal, 2.46 million iron, 0 silver, 0 gold. Buildings unlocked. 6 Fiery Sun Tripod Level 3, Martial Arts Hall Level 3, Alchemy Workshop Level 2, Forge Level 2, Green Bamboo Fence Level 1, Noteboard Level 2. Buildings locked. 3 Yellow Earth Small Wooden Table Rough Iron Chain. With so many resources, before leaving, I can upgrade all the buildings at once and see what surprises it brings. Chapter 447, Chapter 208, Great Xia Sacred Pattern Building Upgrades. Xia Hong first set his gaze upon the Fiery Sun tripod in the center of the Grand Hall. Fiery Sun Tripod Level 3. Can elevate the temperature significantly within a kilometer radius using coal, can eliminate primary supernatural creatures, intimidate intermediate supernatural creatures, has a strong attraction to cold beasts, and can consume coal resources for forging iron tools. Special function. Each burning of 50 units of wood resources can create a small torch, which can harm intermediate supernatural creatures and burn for half an hour. Burning 200 units of wood can produce a portion of solidified fire oil, which is harmless to humans but ignites upon contact with supernatural creatures, causing severe damage. Upgrade conditions: 200,000 wood, 100,000 coal, 500,000 iron. Seeing the astonishing upgrade resources, Xia Hong couldn't help but shake his head in amazement. For the past 6 months, he hadn't upgraded the Fiery Sun tripod due to the sheer and overwhelming amount of resources required. Last time he upgraded was when Mirror Immortal Camp merged, and upon seeing these upgrade requirements, he almost cursed in frustration. From a double-legged iron refining furnace to a three-legged Fiery Sun tripod, it only required 2,000 wood and 5,000 iron. The upgrade for the level 3 Fiery Sun tripod elevated the wood and iron resources hundredfold, moreover, adding an additional 100,000 coal. 200,000 wood isn't that bad. 500,000 iron, based on system units, corresponds to 5 million pounds of iron ore. 100,000 coal is equivalent to 2 million pounds of coal stone. Even with Great Xia Camp's abundant resources, other normal giant camps could never gather such a substantial amount. Among the system's 9 constructions, the Fiery Sun tripod is undoubtedly the most significant. You can tell by its functions. From Xia Hong's current understanding, though the supernatural creatures are few, their threat surpasses cold beasts, and the Fiery Sun tripod's current radiation range isn't vast enough to greatly attract cold beasts from Redwood Ridge. Of course, for the past 6 months, instances like the earlier bird intrusion into the camp have increased, but with Great Xia Camp's current power, they mostly can handle them effortlessly. As long as it's not an enormous scale, handling a regular cold beast tied with Great Xia's current strength isn't overly troublesome, so the Fiery Sun tripod must be the top priority for upgrading. Having made up his mind, Xia Hong didn't hesitate further. With a slight shift in intent, the system's resource numbers began to diminish. Simultaneously, the Fiery Sun tripod within the Grand Hall emitted a fierce glow. What? The Fiery Sun tripod has changed. It's the leader's doing. Must be, it's happened several times already. It's going to change. The heating range will surely expand again. Look, the light has disappeared. Most inside the Grand Hall noticed the change in the Fiery Sun tripod, their faces instantly showing shock, but with explanations from Xia Chuan, Yuan Cheng, Luo Yuan, and others, understanding it was Xia Hong's doing, their expressions softened, turning to curiosity and anticipation. Except for those like Mirror Immortal, others who joined Great Xia Camp merely half a year ago haven't seen Xia Hong upgrade buildings personally, but they've experienced the wonders of Fiery Sun tripod, forge, medicine workshop, martial arts hall, green bamboo fence, and noteboard. From the accounts of Great Xia's older residents, they've heard countless times of Xia Hong's miraculous means, and now they could finally witness it, naturally sparking their anticipation. An ethereal sound arose, and the radiating light from the Fiery Sun tripod finally vanished, whereas at the Grand Hall center, a more dignified, solemn, and massive 4-legged square tripod appeared before everyone's eyes. Unlike the previous 3-legged round tripod, this square tripod was not black but a faint gold. Its side length extended to over 7 meters, occupying nearly 1/5 of the hall's space. Taking a closer look, the 4 sides of the square tripod were engraved with patterns of over 20 kinds of cold beasts hunted by Great Xia to date. As everyone was scrutinizing it, a sudden change occurred. Boom! A fierce flame suddenly burst from the interior of the square tripod. The flame's front was angular, seemingly transforming into a cold beast creature unknown to those inside the hall, clawing toothily toward Xia Hong on the high platform. Brother, be careful. Leader. More than 100 people inside the Grand Hall, witnessing this shocking change, thought Xia Hong was in danger, instantly stood up. Xia Chuan, in panic, even unsheathed his blade, rushing to the platform. Don't panic, I'm fine, everyone sit down. The cold beast evolved from the flame with horns like a deer, a head like a camel, eyes like a rabbit, neck like a snake, belly like a mythological clam, scales like a fish, claws like an eagle, paws like a tiger, ears like an ox, unknown to others, but Xia Hong knew it well. That was definitely a 5-clawed divine dragon from the myths of his past life. The flame-transformed 5-clawed divine dragon rushed to Xia Hong's face, suddenly shrunk into a thread, directly flowing into his forehead. Sizzle. The fire scorched through flesh, making a slight scorching sound. Xia Hong furrowed his brow slightly, but soon a deep smile emerged on his face. All those inside the grand hall, still with lingering panic, upon seeing the flame fully vanish and looking back at Xia Hong, all showed a touch of surprise and moved expressions. Right at the center of Xia Hong's forehead now bore 3 vertical blood-red cloud patterns. The cloud patterns, blood red as fire, carried an inexplicable profundity and divinity, making the gazes of all inside the grand hall fall into mysterious reverence and fervor toward Xia Hong. It wasn't finished yet. Hiss. Suddenly, Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao at the forefront clutched their foreheads as if enduring some pain, each gasping for breath. Chapter 448. Chapter 208. Great Xia Sacred Pattern Building Upgrades Part 2. The crowd quickly turned their heads to see that at the center of the two people's foreheads, a cloud pattern identical to Xia Hong's had appeared. No, the color of the cloud pattern on these two was noticeably much lighter. What was going on? Everyone's eyes were filled with astonishment, curiously turning to look upwards at Xia Hong. At this moment, Xia Hong was staring at the upgraded fiery sun tripod, his heart full of excitement. Cold Ruins Tripod Level 4 can substantially increase the temperature within a 5-kilometer radius using coal, eradicate beginner deceitful monsters, deter intermediate and advanced deceitful monsters, highly attractive to cold beasts, and can consume coal resources for smelting ironware. Special function. For every 100 units of wood resources burned, a small torch can be generated, capable of harming advanced deceitful monsters, burning for 1 hour. For every 400 units of wood burned, 1 portion of solidified fire oil can be generated, harmless to humans but igniting upon contact with deceitful monsters, with substantial lethal power. All personnel within the camp can be modified by the Cold Ruins Tripod to acquire a latent Great Xia Sacred Pattern bloodline, with the host as the bloodline ancestor. Upgrade conditions: 10 million coal, 50 million iron, 10,000 silver. Xia Hong directly ignored the final harsh upgrade condition, touching the vertical cloud pattern on his forehead with curiosity and anticipation in his eyes. Great Xia Sacred Pattern. Bloodline. The system didn't provide a description of this bloodline. With his current power, he couldn't directly perceive the specific effects of this sacred pattern. He turned his head to look at Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao in the main hall and saw that they were also in bewilderment, immediately dispelling the thought of asking them. Since he didn't know, these two certainly didn't either. Since it's a bloodline, it must be useful. The key is that this bloodline can cover the entire camp, meaning that as long as people from Great Xia live within the radiation range of the Cold Ruins Tripod for a long time, they can automatically acquire this bloodline. That's terrifying. Million wood, 10 million coal, 50 million iron, this expenditure is definitely worth it. Xia Hong turned his head, looking at the astonished crowd below, pointing to the sacred pattern on his forehead with a smile, and explained, "No need to worry, this sacred pattern in the future, everyone from the Great Xia camp will grow it. As for its purpose, you will have to explore it together with me slowly. Everyone from Great Xia will grow it." The people in the main hall were momentarily stunned, exchanging glances and then looking at Xia Hong, Xia Chuan, and Yuan Dao. Though their expressions were somewhat skeptical, they also had some hidden anticipation. With the upgrade of the Cold Ruins Tripod complete, next is Martial Arts Hall Level 3. Upgrade conditions: 500,000 wood, 400,000 coal, 600,000 iron, 2,000 silver. Forge Level 2. Upgrade conditions: 100,000 wood, 200,000 coal, 600,000 iron. Medicine Workshop Level 2. Upgrade conditions: 200,000 wood, 200,000 coal, 400,000 iron, 20 synthesis formulas. Noteboard Level 2. Upgrade conditions: 80,000 coal, 60,000 iron. Green Bamboo Fence Level 1. Upgrade conditions: 100,000 coal, 100,000 iron, exchange after upgrade required. Great Xia has not yet obtained silver mine resources, so the martial arts hall is out of the question, and although there are enough resources to upgrade the medicine workshop, there are only 18 synthesis formulas available right now, so it's not feasible. That means the buildings that can currently be upgraded are the forge, the noteboard, and the green bamboo fence. The upgrade resources for these three add up to 100,000 wood, 380,000 coal, and 760,000 iron. Resources: 2.1 million wood, 3.14 million coal, 1.96 million iron, 0 silver, 0 gold. The system resources were more than sufficient, and Xia Hong did not hesitate any longer, proceeding directly with the upgrades. Artifact Refining Workshop, Level 3. A place for crafting tools, capable of crafting weapons from 10 forged to 10,000 forged as well as silver-crafted weapons. After upgrade, 50 furnaces can be refined simultaneously. Special Function. A 1% chance to craft a weapon with beast-suppressing attribute, can identify and differentiate various intention artifact refining materials, and has a chance to synthesize new materials. Upgrade Conditions: 2 million coal, 3 million iron, 5,000 silver. Heroic Spirit Monument, Level 3. The primary monument, a demarcation building with a farthest radiation distance of 10 kilometers. Special Function 1. Allows the exchange of 4 subsidiary monuments, establishing a settlement region with the primary monument. The exchange price for a subsidiary monument is 60,000 coal and 45,000 iron. Special Function 2. Within the settlement region, any activity trajectory of external life forms will be detected and reported back to the primary monument. Special Function 3. The spirits of those who died in battle can be entrusted to this monument, and once a certain scale is reached, they can protect the living residents of the camp. Upgrade Conditions: 800,000 coal, 600,000 iron, 3,000 silver. Black Soil Wall Level 2. Defensive Station Material. Special Function 1. Extremely tough, capable of withstand the impact of intermediate cold beasts. Special Function 2. Can slowly regenerate by consuming wood and iron resources. Pre-upgrade Condition: exchange for a full 50,000 meters. Exchange cost: 100 wood per meter, 20 iron. Looking at the 3 upgraded buildings, Xia Hong had mixed feelings of joy and concern on his face. The joy was because, like the cold ruins tripod, the upgraded buildings had incredibly strong capabilities, significantly enhancing the current strength of Great Xia. When the polishing hammer was initially introduced, the building description indicated the ability to forge weapons with beast-suppressing attributes. Still, whether it was Xia Hong's bad luck or Great Xia's misfortune, not a single one had been made since upgrading to the forge. Now, with the upgrade to the Artifact Refining Workshop, there is a direct 1% chance, guaranteeing that out of every 100 weapons crafted, one will undoubtedly have a beast-suppressing attribute. There's no need to mention the Heroic Spirit Monument, the spirits of the fallen entrusting it, capable of protecting the living residents of the camp once a certain scale is reached. Just thinking about this feature feels immensely powerful. As for the final Black Soil Wall, although it lost the active attack function of the green bamboo fence, its ability to withstand the impact of intermediate cold beasts alone makes it superior to the green bamboo fence.